In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Big Rays, the Alaskan outfitter, committed to outfitting Alaskans across the state since 1947. Whether you're a recreator, parent, guide, or corporate buyer, Big Rays has the gear you need, tailored for Alaska's harsh conditions. Check out their new exclusive line of aerolic waders. Big Rays for all your outdoor gear and rugged work attire. BigRays.com.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives. AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include weekly lawn care, custom landscaping, fertilizing, weed control, turf repair, and more. Schedule your free estimate at lawnproak.com.
Alaska's OG cider company, Double Shovel, crafting gluten-free colonial-style ciders founded as a healthier, non-inflammatory brew option. Drop by their Pop and Tap room in Anchorage off of 58th and Arctic or visit the second location in Kodiak. Double Shovel, award-winning ciders.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
Alaska Mining and Diving Supply, located in Anchorage, is our go-to for powder sleds and utility rigs. Whether you're in the mountains with the flat bill bros, running trap lines, or hauling freight, they have the selection to get you dialed from peaks to the valleys. Find them on Commercial Drive or akmining.com.
Well done.
Huh? Was that it? That was good?
That was it. Yeah, that was the one.
You guys want me to just come to your show and be on the side, just making sounds?
We do need that. Yeah, it'd save me some post-production time for sure.
Give me a cider.
Welcome to Alaska Wild Project, episode 145. Today we have the boys from Freaky Deaky Podcast here, Christian Turner and Scott Walker. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
For people wondering, like, what does that mean? You guys do and host, in my opinion, an excellent show, which I think people should watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
The listening is good, but I think your guys' like facial expressions and your studio where you do it just kind of gives it an extra.
The lighting and has like a aura to it.
Yeah. But your guys' show is, I've actually been watching you guys since when you guys like first started. And so it's gone from like, you guys have covered all stuff, all aliens, paranormal, demons, conspiracies for a little bit.
Briefly.
So that type of thing. And I think that there's a huge audience for that, especially here in Alaska. Dark, a lot of like,
isolationists up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It fits in well.
But before we get into that, Christian, we know Christian used to play on our double show hockey team.
Oh yeah. He's a legend.
They've been calling. I think they got your jersey up over there.
Oh, nice.
He just left it there when he left.
You're feeding my ego already.
So, are you going to come back to the team?
I would like to.
Man, we'd love to have you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Even if it's just guest appearances, it's a long drive, man.
yeah, I would definitely do guest appearances. That would be
dude.
fun.
You should.
Test out my knee.
Yeah, like Friday night game or something.
Yeah, man. It would be fun. The guys will be pumped.
All right. I'm still in the chat, so I'll pay attention.
All right, yeah.
Oh, you're still in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's a lot of messages.
Well, we left them on. I went through and deleted the old players. But I was like, Christian will be back someday. So,
Yeah. I've been wanting to. I've been telling Scott how much fun the team was to play on.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely come back.
And Christian's a grinder, and he can irritate some people on the ice.
Yeah,
we needed
could've
him
used
last night.
Yeah, last night we needed you on Kaiser.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if Scott believes any of that stuff because he's never seen me play.
That you irritate people? Yeah, I get the general gist of that. Sure,
Yeah.
checks out.
I'm not as bad as I used to be. I've mellowed out a lot.
Yeah, and you learned in California on roller skates, or
I started in roller hockey, in the
yeah.
desert in California,
yeah,
and then went to ice, and then moved to Alaska and started playing with you guys.
yeah, dude, that's awesome.
That was the first team?
First team in Alaska.
Okay.
I played in California in
Gotcha.
ice.
Gotcha.
And a lot of roller hockey there.
You were on our team when we had the tuxedos, right?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
The Pucknuxons?
the Puckett Knutsons. Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's like Fuckett Snutson is like a windboarding. Is it windboarding? Is it what when you have like the kite on that's mounted on the board? Is that windsurfing?
Windsurfing, yeah.
It's like a windsurfing term. Fuckett Snukin, I guess. And the dude who had the team before us, the old captain, like was a windsurfer, and so he named it Puckett Snukin because of pucks. It's like a play on the name, and so we just kind of kept it until we went to the flamingos.
Flabongos.
Yeah, the flabongos. Says the flamingo means beer bong. Yeah, yeah, that was fun. We used to have Frederico, the flamingo.
That's right. You bring them to all the games.
Yeah, he'd come on like all of our float trips and camp trips and stuff. That was pretty fun.
That is funny. For people that are trying to visualize this, basically it's like a yard flamingo that we cut like the legs off. So it's just the body. So it was like a big thing, and we would just do beer bongs out of it through its like long neck and mouth.
Useful. Yeah, very useful.
It was useful. Yeah, and he was always like in the woods at every campsite and stuff. So it was a fun little thing.
Yeah.
Many trips on down the Gulkana.
Yeah. He had a brother. I forget his brother's name, but it's gone.
There was two. What happened to the flamingo?
I think I still have that, man.
Up at the cidery?
I think it's probably at my house, but yeah, maybe. And yeah, and then when we started
Flabongo
Double
Fridays?
Shovel, we renamed it. Yeah, Flabongo Fridays at the cidery. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Christian was telling me he had his knee replacement. And
Oh,
so
you did?
Yeah.
And he's feeling like he can play some. That's very exciting for me as I'm lining up to do mine.
Actually, it's 2 years ago this month.
Nice.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How long was the rehab?
About a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A year before I felt back to normal.
Okay.
They said I went through the rehab pretty quick. I was off crutches really fast.
Yeah.
But you could feel it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
It just
your
didn't-
exercises before you get your surgery.
Oh,
That's my
I did
advice.
it right before I came here. I've been on it for like
Yeah.
at least a month now.
Physical therapy was the worst part.
Yeah.
Before and after? Or?
I didn't have it before. I had it after, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like tearing
Yeah.
like scar tissue and stuff?
Yeah, they would push you like
Yeah.
really hard. And then you're supposed to do exercises at home, but you were so beat up from the physical therapy,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
That sounds promising.
It seems like you should do something like every time you're in the shower, do like 50 squats or something, like make it into your routine, where it's on top
afterwards?
of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
or
something you
even
do.
before, dude, like
I've been
build it in.
doing like band stuff and
Yeah, the band stuff is the big thing, I think. But
Yeah.
like a year later, no more pain.
Awesome, dude.
And it sounds weird when I like tap on my kneecap because it's metal to metal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll like slide a little bit and feel weird, but it doesn't hurt.
Awesome.
do you feel like you can like cut?
Yeah. Yeah, actually
Yeah?
I do. The only weird thing is like if you're on your knees, because I don't have any feeling in my, like one whole side of my knee anymore.
Oh, that's
So,
what.
like,
That's what I heard. That like actually kneeling down feels
Yeah.
weird.
So if I'm crawling around with my grandson, it feels really weird to crawl.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But you can do it. That's
I
like a
can,
myth.
but
like
you have to think about it because you can't feel it.
You're like,
So it's like you're thinking about something you've always done all your life instinctually.
yeah.
So you won't need like a right shin pad when we play.
I don't know. I'd hate to get hit on that. It'd be scary. I've seen the X-rays. They're pretty
Oh yeah,
pretty rough.
They tell you do not watch the surgery,
Yeah, I didn't.
especially before.
I watched an animation of it.
Yeah.
And that was good enough.
Yeah, I don't want to. I can visualize it already enough. That's my personal demons, boys. The upcoming.
And
But
when-
actually, I feel very good because every single person, and I've talked to a lot of people that have done it, and they've said the same thing.
Yeah, and all you have to do is do the exercises afterwards.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, and get moving. Like to me, right after, like for the couple months after, if I moved, it was fine. If I sat there for too long, you could tell. Sleeping's a little rough,
Yeah.
but that was the worst of it, was trying to get to sleep after the surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said he gave me a crazy stat, like 1 in 4 people will have it eventually.
Yeah.
Especially
Sounds really
now,
high.
especially moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it even said
As
1 in
people
3.
get older.
Yeah. And in the future, like people are just doing it younger and younger.
It was such a big difference. I wish I would have done it younger, but my doctor wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
So
Who did yours?
I can't remember his name.
Oh, okay.
It was
Wow.
He's
Well, they
here in
took- yeah.
Anchorage,
I'll
or-
get back to you guys on that one.
Yeah. They told me to wait and wait and wait. And I wait as long as I can. And then they're just like, yeah, you got to do this now.
Yeah, I think when my doctor finally is like, okay, you ready? It was like kept getting injections in my knee and stuff like that, and they weren't working anymore.
Yep. Those injections are just brutal, dude. They're like,
Really?
oh, just right in the knee. Feels like it goes all the way through.
That doesn't sound fun.
Then it's all like tight in there when
Yeah,
after they put that in there.
My doctor was like, we got to get around some of the
Scar
debris,
tissue.
and and you could feel it like hitting like
Yeah.
calcium deposits or whatever.
Yeah. Little
What-
balls.
One time they had, he has like this really nice looking physician assistant.
Uh-huh.
And I was going in there late to like get an injection or like a part 3 of viscous or whatever. When they put like the hyaluronic acid in there, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
But it's like a 3-part. You have to go like 3 weeks in a row. And she must have been like about to go out. It was like Friday. And it's like 5 o'clock. And
Yeah.
I'm going in and get the shot because she's like all dressed up to the T. I'm like, whoa, hey. She's like, hey, yeah. And she's done all of them and there's been no problem. This one, she's just like, we're chatting and she just boom and just like huge squirt of blood goes out, dude. Just, all over her. And I'm like, oh no, dude. She was
it a
like, oh, it's
Halloween
okay. It actually was right around Halloween, I want to say. Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't Halloween. That would have been
It
perfect.
would have matched the blood.
Yeah, but she was all like dolled up, and she's like, "It's my fault. I knew it. I knew it. If I was gonna wear this, I shouldn't have changed." I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," but it was her fault.
You'd been such a good patient before then, and then you just ruined it.
Yeah. I think she was focused on her evening, not my knee, so she got it.
Something had your blood pumping a little harder than normal, bud.
Yeah, it could be. That's actually you're right about that. Actually, you're right about that. And now it's like a little awkward when I see her. She's like, "Hey."
Remember when my blood was all over you? My DNA?
Especially when Alexia came. My wife came to the the pre-whatever. And she's like, hey. And Alexia looks at me and looks at her. Like, that's a long story.
It was all of a sudden awkward.
Yeah, it was totally. She's blushing. Anyway, you don't play hockey?
I did. I lived in Vegas for about 6 years, and I never joined a league or anything like that, but I played like the pickup games or whatever. And,
Down in Vegas?
Yeah.
Nice.
I miss it. Yeah, as soon as I moved up here, the Aces stopped being a thing, apparently. And as soon as I left Vegas, the Knights came. So it was like this weird thing where I was like, I have no hockey out here. At least I'll go to Alaska, I'll have some hockey. And then I get out here, they're like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And Vegas was like, how about we start it up, though? It was not a fun experience. I'm still regretting it to this day, especially because they just won a cup and everything.
Oh, man, what a time to be a fan. Have you been to a game there?
No.
You haven't?
No,
That's
not yet.
amazing.
Man,
It's
I want to
amazing.
go.
I'm going in 2 weeks again.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I want to go to one of their games, but
Oh, it's the best.
I don't want to cheer for them.
No, you don't cheer for them. You cheer. You almost kind of have to. Everyone's you're so excited, dude. And I got the rave music going. You're just like,
It does look fun.
yeah. It is probably one of the best atmosphere. I've been to several games around, and Seattle is pretty good. Seattle's pretty good, but Vegas is a whole nother.
Have you been to Nashville?
No,
That's where I really want to go.
I bet that would be
Destroy a car outside every game.
Do they do that every
Yeah.
game? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Before the
hear
game,
their
right?
atmosphere is the best.
yeah. Well, not when they're losing. They're pretty shitty, aren't they?
That checks out, yeah.
I don't know. I can't stand their color like that.
That is an ugly
the
color.
honey mustard color. It's ugly, dude.
Be fun to watch them there.
They got their old coach, Barry Trots. I met him outside of a Kings game one time.
Oh, you did?
He was there scouting early for the Preds, and he was the coolest guy you ever met. Stopped and talked to us, and
That's cool.
I think he would have gone out to get a drink with us if we didn't have to drive all the way back to the desert.
I don't think I've ever seen him smile. Is that a thing that he does?
I mean, you don't normally see him smile, but he was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's like when you read about him, he's like a philanthropist, but he's a coach, and I think his kid has special needs, so he's like full time into that too. So I mean, he's probably just in a different place all the time, you know.
That checks out, yeah.
Now he's GM
Oh, he is.
of Nashville.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, first year.
Oh, good for him. He'd be a good GM.
And he won a cup with the Caps, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I saw they did something on his daughter. Yeah, that's like a big thing for him.
Okay.
Yeah, won a cup and then quit and got another job the next year.
Yeah, went back home.
Oh, is he from over there?
Well, I think he was just the first coach they ever had in Nashville.
Oh, so it's like home to him.
Yeah.
Got it. You know where it's shitty to watch a game is Arizona.
Have you been to their smaller
Not the
arena?
new one,
Oh.
which is probably good, but the old one.
Yeah,
like
I
you
heard
feel
that's
so bad. I went and they played like the Blackhawks. I went twice or three times, and I went to play the Blackhawks, and it's just like a sea of red. It's like the home team is the away team. You feel so bad.
Yeah,
Just like then I went and watched the Rangers, and same thing. It's like a sea of blue, and they're just getting trampled on. It was terrible.
It happens
you
in
root for
LA
him,
too.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But at least LA most of the time can keep up with some of those teams. But they get a lot of the original fans too.
That come from
Yeah, I just don't see Phoenix being a good sports town, man. Like, there's just so many transplants that you don't really get that like local support, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Everyone there is old from somewhere else,
Right.
or like a college kid.
Do their
Yeah.
baseball team and basketball team do okay as far as fans go? I don't really pay
The
attention.
Suns?
I don't know. I don't really think so.
I think they struggle with filling up those arenas.
I mean, Arizona Cardinals, you know, I don't know if anyone's really an Arizona Cardinal fan.
I would have went, but they're expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Tickets are
Football
like-
tickets are ridiculous.
Ridiculous, like $500.
Yeah. I was super bummed when we were in KC last week and we didn't get to go to a Chiefs game because that's like the one stadium I want to go to. It's the one that like the Seattle will like break the decibel record and then the next week, you know, the Arrowhead will break it. You know, I was pumped. And they're obsessed. Like you show up, it's just like football country. So, but it was their bye week.
You didn't want to go just to see Taylor?
I wanted to go. It was a bye week.
He's a Swiftie. Did that go over your head?
Yeah, I did. I also can't name any of her songs, so
It's not a bad thing.
yeah.
No.
I don't know if I could.
I don't know.
Could you?
I know some lyrics to like
Yes.
one song.
Shake It Out. That's about the only one I know.
Shake it out.
Yeah, I know a few, but I'm not going to actually reveal that information. I could probably name 3, but
That's one thing that like going to like Spotify and these like on demand kind of music versus the radio has changed. Is like you can really like isolate yourself from pop culture, from some aspects of pop culture, and
or you can go the opposite
on my playlist
and open up yourself to like, oh, I didn't even know this. I like this.
You really have to try though to do that, right? Because it's just playing like stuff that you might like.
yeah.
Algorithms can be dangerous.
Yeah, that's true.
And a pain.
Yeah, my YouTube
could be
algorithms are dangerous for sure.
Could be good too.
Yeah.
Could be real good. Forgot what I was gonna say.
We do that all the time.
It happens, yeah.
So where did the idea of the podcast come from, man?
I'll let Scott explain it 'cause it's kind of a funny one.
Is it? Am I doing the honest one?
The one with the garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Do I say what was like happening inside the garage, or do I just leave it at we were inside a garage together, which just sounds weird?
Say it all. Say it all.
Okay, sorry, Mom, but
I was growing dope in the garage.
When I first moved up here, I moved in with them in Eagle River, and occasionally we would go down to the garage and just open the Bible, read some scripture, say a few prayers. Nothing weird like marijuana smoking or conspiracies or weird stuff like that, But and yeah, I got to the point where I was so enthralled with our conversation that I was like, you know what? Everyone else needs to hear this as well. So let's, I'd listened to paranormal podcasts for years at that point, and it was just one of those things where I was like, I always wanted to start one, but it's like, who do you, number one, approach with that? Be like, hey, you want to talk about ghosts for a really long time? They're like, no, actually, I never want to do that in my life. Like, okay, yeah. But the garage sessions were usually just me trying to convince him of some like wild conspiracy or some kind of like the existence of Bigfoot for instance. I'm like, you just need to just accept it, dude, that it's real and it happens. And so I was like, let's just start a podcast. I was like, I have recording equipment. Let's just make it happen. And the entire premise of the show was like, at some point he's going to come around and he's going to be like, you know what, Scott, I think you're right. And with just how stubborn he is, you're like, this show could go on forever. So kind of, it makes sense. But yeah, so it just started in a garage in Eagle River smoking weed. Pretty much. That's like the really, like if I could condense it to one sentence, it's that.
Yeah. Like all the best ideas start in a garage smoking weed.
They do. Yeah, we just followed through with it. I have tons of ideas that I had while smoking weed. Then I was like, maybe I'll sideline that for a little bit. I'll get back to it. Yeah.
Or you forgot about it.
That happens more often than not. Yeah, that's the case, unfortunately.
What year did you guys start?
2020, I think. Right?
It was right after the pandemic.
Right. It was like June or something. Yeah, so it was like right in there.
Good time to start.
Yeah, I think we released our first episode just as like the pandemic was getting ready to start. But we started recording much earlier.
Yeah.
Great timing.
In the kitchen. At a kitchen table.
Yeah. It's progressed a little bit since then, but
it's
good times.
And where's the studio now?
We bought a house with like a really nice garage, and I'm the furthest thing from like a manly man. I'm like, you know what? The Spooky Ghost podcast goes here. So yeah, it's just like half of it's our podcast, the other half is like just a business that I run, and so I'm like, it works out. It's a nice space. But I rushed into the design of the studio that now that we've been there for a while, I'm like, there's many things I would have done so differently.
Yeah,
I just don't have the time anymore to even be like, I'm going to take this down, I'm going to move this over here, but it worked out for the time being.
That's funny. We've been talking about doing a bunch of shit in here for years.
This place looks so nice. That is like a work of art right there, man. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
That is Aaron Sweeney. He does big signs and stuff like that. He worked on the slope for a long time, and I knew he did woodwork. And this first sign he ever made was one of my hot dog stand menus. I was like, I want one out of wood. And he's like, I don't know if I could do it. I was like, just whatever you come up with. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
And then from there, it just kind of like sparked his whole like side hustle. Oh, nice. And he started making signs, and then he made another sign for me. And then I told some people, and he ended up making, next thing you know, he has the huge thing outside of Barney's. He did like the AK Starfish thing in Homer. He has like a bunch of huge ones. So when we wanted to do this, I already knew
I think he
Who to
did
call up.
Girdwood Brewings, right?
Yeah, he did Girdwood
He
Brewings.
did some stuff for Double Shovel. And now he does some like really cool stuff with barrels where he breaks down old barrels.
Yeah, actually that little Lazy Susan right there, the one on the bottom that's the wood with the metal around it. Like he makes stuff like that and crazy artwork and
That's really cool.
Yeah. You know Aaron, right? From
Yeah.
the slope? Yeah. Yeah, so Christian and I worked with him up there.
okay. Yeah, that's probably all I think he said he's retiring and all he's gonna do is like woodwork and stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah, what
Yeah, he's got a really nice like shop in the back of his house and some shed that he built and it's just like money.
I wish I had skills like that.
Yeah, that's
He's
nothing compared to some of the other stuff he's done.
Yeah, he's next level. He was on the podcast when maybe like around episode 20 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was good. Anyway, if you want something made out of wood, that's the guy right
I like
there.
that.
You could do a cool like Bigfoot or your guys' logo or something.
giant banana or something. Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, that'd
just
be-
like
Yeah,
just the weirdest thing. That just want an 8-foot banana for the back side corner here.
and one bushel of grapes.
Yeah, we have a banana in our studio.
Yeah, yeah.
Sasquatch holding a banana.
There you go. Why not? Let's get creative with it.
Yeah. And have like a jersey on. It says Turner on the back.
There you go.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
So you guys are up to how many shows now?
167 just came out today.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the schedule like?
Rough and grueling. It's we will sit down usually a Friday night now, and we'll hammer out like 2 to 3 episodes, and we'll try to do that a couple weeks in a row. So I have 6 episodes, 4 to 6 episodes to edit while we're working on video stuff, and then we do a couple weeks of video shoots, and then I have a couple weeks to edit those while we're researching new episodes. And so it's like a really, it's wild to try to explain.
Sounds
but
like some leapfrogging happening.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're doing
totally.
that, and then you got to do this, and then that's ready by then. And
100%, yeah.
yeah.
We're able to release every Thursday though, so
Okay,
with
so
all
that's the
that
release
work,
date Thursday.
Yeah, every Thursday for the podcast, and then the videos will come out sometimes on Fridays and Saturdays, and depending on whether it's shorts or not.
Okay. Do you lead up the shorts to advertise the show coming, or is it for after the show's already dropped?
Right now it's leading. No, it's after.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's really just to try to get subs. Now, everyone's like, you got to do shorts to get subs. I'm like,
God,
it's not going to make a lot of sense in 60 seconds, but here we go. Why not?
it works.
For a
I
little
like the
bit,
short. Yeah.
One of the things I think it helps get eyes on us because when people engage with the shorts, our videos will be suggested to them later or more people because of their engagement. So it does help.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Then they're like, oh, what else these guys got?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
sometimes they come up with really creative ways to tear you down, and that's the best.
Man.
Where you're just like, oh, cool. I'm really glad I pushed that. Thank you. Just glad you liked it.
yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. I've tried to convince them not to worry about that. That's a good sign if people are complaining a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't
when
help
they get
myself.
bigger.
It's like,
Don't read them.
yeah.
I
It's
love
just
to read
curiosity.
them.
I'm
I
just
love to
like-
read the haters.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me too much.
I just made the mistake of, like, YouTube will sometimes be like, this is a little much for anyone to read. I'm going to hide these.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's this show hidden comments? And I was like, oh, God. Ooh, they really don't like us, Christian. Let's pack it in, But, yeah, so that was a wild 30 seconds of my life. But
Yeah, shorts is a rougher crowd.
Yeah. I think you just don't respond to the hate.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at
that's
it.
that's how he sees it for sure. I just egg him on.
What's one of the ones? One of those best hater comments.
I think the most recent one, we were recording Halloween videos, right? And so I was in a banana suit for the comedic effect of a video show, right? And so I know that I look ridiculous, but I was complaining about some fireworks that were going off at like Wasilla High when we were in the middle of trying to record this, and I was doing it in a way that I was like, oh, this is lighthearted or whatever. And no, someone literally commented, was like, I'm glad there's fireworks going off. You look like a bitch. And I'm like, I was like, well, you're not entirely wrong, sir. But you could have said something about the ghost too.
There we have it up there with the banana suit.
there's a
Oh, you got the double shovel
I
sided
love
there.
it, man.
Yeah, there's a double shovel up there.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
a good
You
time.
got your jersey.
Yeah.
And the helmet and everything.
Yeah, he put a lot of thought into it for sure. You can tell.
It was hard to get the headphones over the helmet, but it worked.
That's funny. That's a good
Oh,
hater.
that's right. That was wild.
We had someone, they went all the way to Apple and left a review, like Apple review, and like, these fucking guys, all they do is eat chips on the show. It's just crunch, crunch, crunch the whole time.
Wow.
It's funny.
But I loved it, or something stupid. I was like, okay.
Imagine the rage you got to have in your heart. To
It was
be
still like 4 stars, but he's just like, these guys. It's like, yeah, you must
put
be
the
so
chips
mad
away.
that you're going to like go in, log in, put a name, and type this whole thing. Like, God, just let it be, man.
It's a lot of effort. Yeah.
Some people
There's
just have a
trolls.
rougher life than the, or feel like it's rougher than the rest of us.
You
and
know,
that's how
I
they-
would love to see who these people are, because I bet some of them are just like some dude sitting there, and then he writes it, and then he's like, "Hey, son, let's drive over to practice," and he's the nicest baseball
I
coach
know.
ever.
Oh, you know it.
just never know.
Yeah.
They're not going to say the shit to your face, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice people in real life and think they can just write whatever on the internet. But
I just try to remind myself whatever they're going through is their own thing. Maybe
Yeah,
they're just having a
totally.
bad day.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I can't
Yeah.
do that. That's
Try to
awesome.
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I got, having the other businesses and stuff, I don't even read the comments. But then if someone else sees a comment and is like serious enough to tell me about it, then I need to look at it. Then it's like, okay, that's the alarm level that I need to respond to.
I like this. I forward them.
Yeah, I know
people.
you do.
I'm like, look at this.
I know you do.
Look at this.
Use it for marketing.
Yeah, I should put it on there. I think we do talk about it. We brought him up, that hater guy. He didn't have a real name. though.
Yeah. But usually you forward on the really good ones, when people are kind.
But you got to
and
mix in
thoughtful.
the shitty ones,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're not just pumping everyone's tires.
It is hilarious, though, to read them. You can't take it personal.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes. I'm like, this person literally typed this and then forgot he ever saw this. I'm like, they're like just fuming for 30 minutes. Like, how am I going to ruin this man's life? And it's impossible. I'm like, I just got to let it go.
It's like when someone's road raging, you just smile at them. They just get more mad.
Oh, yeah.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Hopefully not lately with how the driving's been. But
People are intense out there.
Yeah. Before we take the break and then get into like the really cool stuff, let's get into some nerdy stuff about like the equipment you guys use and maybe a little bit of your background with editing and all that stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. The editing background is literally me and my homeschool friends growing up were really into Star Wars. And so I was like, I need to find a way to make lightsabers a real thing for our home movies. And so I literally went frame by frame in Photoshop and like did the effects for each individual frame in like a 45-second video. And it was the greatest moment of my life. So from there, I was just like,
Sparked a career.
yeah, there's still out there in YouTube land. There's some very wild videos
really?
of me as like 13 or 14
Dude,
years
we
old.
got to find them.
Good luck. I haven't told a soul where they can even like the name that was behind. I'm like, no one. These die with me. I'm afraid. And but yeah, so just that. I got into graphic design when I was like 15, and so from there on, it's just like how can I use this skill set in like different ways? And so video was something I was always passionate about, film and stuff like that. So yeah, made a lot of home movies, and then just advanced. I did some like songwriting and shit like that when I was like a teenager, trying to find Mrs. Right. And
he's much more artistic than me.
yeah. So yeah, that was like I got into audio recording and like never learned anything. I was like, I can figure it out. And so I've always had like this kind of like underground sound where it's like, this doesn't sound professional, but it seems like he really tried, And and so I just went with that. And then yeah, I just as time went on, like after the pandemic and stuff like that, I was like, I just don't even have time for like songwriting or anything like that. And I was like, I'm going to use all this equipment, start a weird podcast. And at that point I had like aged enough to where I was like, I'm, engaged at this point. I don't need to impress anyone with music. Well, I'm just going to just talk about ghosts, I guess, from here on out. And yeah, so luckily enough, like when everything started, I had a lot of equipment already that I just I was like, I'm just going to pivot this into podcasting. And perfect. From there, bought a bunch of like AKGs. And I have a producer friend in California that I just kind of asked him, I was like, you've recorded with me. I was like, what mic sounds good for my voice? Forget my co-host and anything that may or may not sound great. What about me? And he was like, the AKG C214. And so picked up a couple of those, and then
Nice.
yeah. So I've always been like a perfectionist that has no idea what he's doing, and so it's like a weird combination that I'm just like, if I get the equipment, it's going to sound amazing, and that's all it takes. But it's definitely been a learning curve as far as production goes, because unfamiliar with most things that I touch.
Yeah. But I feel like YouTube's been real helpful for a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, just how to work this thing and different things like that. And I mean, you can get as intricate with editing as,
Yeah, YouTube
go real down a real big rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
With all that stuff. But keeping it simple is just.
Yeah. I just need the basics. Like, tell me the basics of how everything works, and then I'll kind of steer that however I want at whatever point I decide to learn the rest. As we go on, just be like, oh, I had no idea I could save myself hours by just pushing this button right here.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, I know now, so that's all that matters. But,
yeah. When we first started doing it, like learning, we would do before we had the TV, we'd be talking about something, whatever, some pair of gloves or whatever, snowboard, and we'd have to like look it up. And then Brandon would like spend like a week like trying to find what we were talking about to send it to me so that I could like embed it into the video.
Yeah.
And they were like, why don't we just put it on the TV and then it's just there.
It's there.
Absolutely.
It's not as good. It's not as good as the tiny like 1-inch thing on your phone in the corner.
Much time, though. So much time.
But it saves so much time.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. Yeah.
And then the ad reads, we would do them live. Like we'd be like right here in the back, okay, double cider, and then we just fumble our words and fuck up, and so they have to like start over, and then that just becomes the editing thing. And then if we're like, why don't we just pre-record all these?
Yeah. That makes sense. I always,
that's a smart move. Yeah.
Like when he talks about all our social medias, like we should just pre-record this. But he does a good job though. So
theatrical. I'm like, you guys get me every time, man. And in reality, I'm just too lazy to do it. I'm like, I should just clip this out. And every time I get there, I'm like, I've been editing this whole episode for like 3 hours. I'm tired. I'm just the episode's done. There it is.
Yep. Enough's enough.
Oh yeah.
You can edit till the thing's 1 minute.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't have to do any of that, luckily.
That is very true.
You just
sounds like you got the good part of the podcast.
I do.
Yeah.
I just
show up and make funny faces and shake your head a little bit. And
I read a lot about the stuff we're going to talk about, but
yeah.
Okay.
I would do that anyway. So
Yeah.
But when we do the pre-record, you think, we're just gonna just do a quick pre-record of these.
Oh
No. It's like, all right, take 29. Go, Jack.
More energy, Jack.
It sounds like you're just reading it.
I've said that to Scott before. Those exact words. More energy, Scott.
Yeah, that is true. Well, we used to record at like 4 a.m. or like 5 a.m. or something like that. So the energy levels were pretty low to begin with. I'm like, well, anyway, we're back. You know what this is by now. Let's get going, So, yeah, we found a nice stride.
What are some of your other favorite ones that maybe inspired you guys to start this?
Well, I've been good friends with Tony from the Confessionals, and he's got like a massive paranormal show. I used to, I still do actually, like do graphic design work for him and stuff like that. And so he was my main in as far as like any questions I had or anything like that. I just kind of ask him, be like, like, is this a good idea? And he was really helpful with that. After we got started, there's another show out that's called Belief Hole. And they are like hands down the best production I've ever heard in my life. And it's like phenomenal quality as far as production goes. And yeah, they're super down to earth. I messaged them, I think, on Instagram or something like that, and they were just like, and they have a massive following too, and they've shouted us out a couple times. They've been really,
that's cool,
really cool people. But yeah, between those two, those are probably my favorites. But Belief Hole probably edges them out just a little bit, and I don't think Tony's gonna listen to this, so I won't tell him about it. That helps. but yeah,
we found that the podcast community is like very helpful.
Yes.
Like no one's like trying to like keep secrets. Everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? Have you tried this? You should do that. This program works better. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah.
Which is really cool because in some things it's not
right
like that, like fishing.
Upper Hudson.
Yeah. It's like, where are you going fishing? Oh,
Campbell Mind Creek. Your business.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I don't even listen to our genre for podcasts. I'm mostly history and some hockey stuff.
Yeah.
But those guys are just, you interact with them. They're super cool.
Yeah.
And they're as responsive as they can be. And it's awesome. That's one of the things I love about podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they based out of?
Tony started out in Pennsylvania, and I think he's outside of Knoxville, Tennessee now. And then I think Belief Hole's in Ohio, if I remember correctly.
Oh, all right.
Belief Hole.
Probably a good spot.
Yeah.
to check that out.
Lots of creepy
What's
stuff.
your history one? I'm big in the history podcast.
I like hardcore history.
There's not enough, man. I've already listened to them all twice.
Yeah.
And they're like 8 hours each.
The amount of research he puts in for those is just
it's amazing.
phenomenal.
I also listen to Tides of History a lot lately.
Tides of History?
Yeah,
I haven't heard that one.
They kind of pick a time period and just stick with it.
Okay.
Until they're done with it. Similar to Hardcore History, but they release every week.
Do you like History on Fire?
I've only heard that a couple times. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah. I can't remember where I heard about them from. I heard about them on another podcast, History Podcast or something.
What about I think it's the Fall of Civilizations?
Yes, I have listened to that one.
That one's good. There's not enough of those either.
No.
There's some production in that one. He's got like dudes coming. You listen to that one?
No.
This guy has like guys coming in making voices and like reading like characters in there. That must be some major production.
It gives me a headache just thinking about. I'm like, how are you doing all this?
And it's like he actually has like some guy who sounds like from where they're at. It's like, it's crazy. So it's kind of like our idea where I come in and just
there's only 17 of those.
So much funner.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them. Yeah. I'm probably sure it takes a long time to.
Oh yeah, those guys. Well, that's probably they're historians anyway, or Dan Carlin's I guess he's not a real historian, but
is he not?
No,
he's not a real.
Says that all the time.
Oh, okay. I thought he was like a professor of something.
No, he used to work on the radio in L.A. I used to listen or on TV. I used to see him on TV when I lived in that. area,
really?
Back when I was a kid.
Huh.
So I think we can just call him one now.
Research is awesome.
What's that?
I think we just call him a historian now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've earned it.
For sure he has.
Yeah.
I mean, other historians want to go on his show all the time, so
there you go.
Yeah.
He must be doing something right. And he's one of the first podcasters I ever listened to.
Yeah.
Before anybody knew what podcasting was.
He's the one that was like, I was like, what's this Patreon? This guy's talking about. He's like, just $1.
Yep.
I'm like, how does that even work? And I was like, okay, well, hold on. There's 1 million people paying $1 a month.
There you go.
Okay, that works.
Checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about hockey?
Hockey, I've been listening to a lot of 32 Thoughts, which is mostly they focus a lot on Canadian hockey, but those guys know a lot. And then the LA Kings have a podcast. It's the Mayor's Manor that I listen to a lot.
Mayor's Manor
talks mostly Kings stuff. So
okay, cool. You listen to Spit and Chicklets at all?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially when all that stuff was going on recently with Babcock.
Oh yeah,
that was a fun listen.
Yeah.
What was going on with Babcock?
You don't know what happened with Babcock?
Fill me in real quick.
He basically got fired for abusing his players again.
Really?
Yeah.
He's been known to do this forever, right? And he's already that's why he got kicked out the first time.
Right.
So he goes and gets hired at the Blue Jackets, I want to say.
Yes.
And he's like asking dudes to come in. Like first he asks like the captain to come in. He's like, let me check out your phone. You know what I'm saying? And like trying to make it seem like, let me check out your kids or whatever. And he's like scrolling to see what these dudes are about.
Putting it up on the big screen for everybody to see.
Yeah. And who knows what kind of shit you got on your phone, dude. These dudes are out here fucking living a lifestyle.
I mean, they're men. And they should have some privacy. The rest of their
and
life
he's doing it
is
to like
spotlight.
rookies, and then like the league found out, and it was like, oh, this is the type of shit he was doing before.
So he didn't even make it to the first game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
I fired him in like before even like preseason. It was like he played like one game.
Yeah. Didn't get his cues.
No, he didn't. Let's take a quick break and then we'll get into some of the juicy stuff.
Cool.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters and outdoor enthusiasts with the highest quality gear and equipment since they opened their doors in 1963. Barney's carries exclusive brands such as Alpaca Rafts, Sitka, Sims, Exo Mountain Gear, Hilleberg, and much more. Barney's prides themselves with keeping a huge stock on hand of various top-of-the-line tents, footwear, sleeping bags, optics, cross-country skis, just to name a few. Barney's is also the exclusive retailer of Montana knives, Seek Outside, Kafaru, Stone Glacier, and their in-house brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska. Barney's has a superior selection of top-rated boots, sleeping bags, dry bags, mountaineering gear, electronics, and accessories. Need freeze-dried food or mountain snacks? They got that too. Barney's now has an amazing new paperback catalog available for in-store pickup or online order. Visit them today at barneysports.com, or even better, stop by the store in Anchorage at 906 West Northern Lights. If you want the best, there's only one name in the game, Barney's Sports Chalet.
Alaska Mining and Diving Supply, located in Anchorage for 47 years, has expanded 3 stores. The main store, the largest Skidoo sled dealer in North America, also has Can-Am, Sea-Doo, Climb, Suzuki Outboards, Honda Outboards, generators and snowboards, Kingfisher boats, and so much more. Alaska Motorsports and Equipment just next door, which was previously Anchorage Suzuki Arctic Cat, for all your Arctic Cat, Suzuki ATV, Husqvarna, Generac, Mahindra Tractor, and now Argo Pro and Sasquatch needs. And to round it out, also next door, the brand new Alaska Mining Superstore, for the largest selection of recreational and light commercial mining equipment anywhere, period.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaska public lands, waters, and wildlife. From national level policy work to engagement with boots on the ground projects from Kotzebue to Ketchikan. BHA performs public land cleanups, hunting and fishing clinics, and community education to help take your game to the next level. BHA's community-minded goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping wildlands wild and fostering the next generation of sportsmen and women for years to come. Make sure to follow BHA Alaska for upcoming events, local brewery pint nights, and more. Stand up for Alaska public lands and waters by supporting the Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Join us today at backcountryhunters.org.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. When you pull up to the Treehouse, you'll notice the beautifully hand-drawn art by Alaska's own Ted Kim. Once you get inside, you're going to see many of the same people that have been there since they opened. The bud tenders know you and what you like and what new product you should be checking out. The store is super clean and the music's always on point. The Treehouse and local owner Josh Boots is a staple in the cannabis culture through his music, community givebacks, and a lifetime desire to bring the people of Alaska the best products available. The Treehouse always has at least 25 strains available, and they're all shown prominently deli style in clear, openable jars so you can see and smell your options. Other products include edibles, concentrates, vape carts, pre-rolls, flour, dab rigs, and anything else you need, they got it. They also have some pretty sick merchandise for sale. Check out thetreehouseak.com, or better yet, stop by the Treehouse today and get started on their loyalty program. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
You guys have sponsored?
No, not yet. I've always wanted to kind of wait for like a certain download number before I try it. I was like, if we're gonna do like subscriber like content or anything like that, or try to find sponsors, like I want it to be a high number.
Yeah.
And that's proven to take over 3 years. So I'm like, it might be time. You know what? It might be time.
What are your
think it is
download numbers?
We average around anywhere from probably like 9 to like, I think the highest was like 14,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
And
great.
so it was good, but there's like always these weird kind of peaks, and then it'll like taper off.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, you're like, okay, is someone like big talking about us, or is it just random the way that society works? We're like, I'm not going to listen to ghost stories for 2 months, and then I'll pick back up later.
It's like the market. It's like
Exactly, yeah.
but it's going up.
Yeah.
It's going up
Yeah.
the whole time. What are you guys on? What distribution? Sorry to cut you off, Jack.
Podbean.
On Podbean, yeah, that's what we use. Their analytics are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see like certain spikes at certain times of the year, like getting to Halloween or the darker times of year go up, or
You know what? You would think.
yeah?
But I feel like actually, especially, and it showed on the YouTube, like our Halloween stuff did way worse than most of like our other stuff. I'm like,
Oh,
this
really?
is so weird. And I figured, I was like, it must be the banana. People are turned off by the banana, and that's fine. You know, you can be that.
I don't think that's a thing.
I think
It
you're
was-
overloaded around that time. Like that's when you're
yeah.
watching scary movies. That's
Yeah,
when
that's
you're
true.
like,
Yeah, that's really
this.
true.
I've already had enough of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's probably what it
that's
is.
probably right. Yeah,
But you guys should definitely get on this one. What we did was we started off with the low price point because we're like, we don't have numbers. We don't know what the fuck this is going to do.
Yeah.
And as it got better, the price went up. So there's like different like tiers and people that were grandfathered into certain prices. And now new people are paying a lot more than the first
Oh, nice.
folks.
Did you tell them that, like when you approach them, like, hey, this is what we're at right now, but at some point, if we're up here, the price is going to also, or was it just kind of like, hey, we're bigger now? So
Well, what we told them was, we didn't tell them shit in the beginning. We're just like, this is what it is. You know, does this sound cool to you? We're like, kind of like, please, you know. And then after it blew up, it's like, okay, well, you guys supported us since the beginning. We're just going to grandfather you in on this price.
That's cool.
But everyone else that comes in
Comes in
at a higher price. So we've already like put the price up like 3 different times.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the new people are paying a lot more than the OG sponsors.
Right.
That's sweet.
But it pays off. Like even at the beginning, it paid off for the sponsors. I mean, like for mowing lawns and snow plowing or tailored restoration, and the treehouse. Thank you, Josh's place, the treehouse. I don't go to the east side, but I would shop there if I did go to the east side. I walk everywhere. I mean, it definitely paid off for them. Like, and then what's cool is like the businesses also want to support cool things in Anchorage, or in Alaska. And so I'm sure there'd be people that would want to, jump on.
100%.
Yeah.
And as you get bigger sponsors, like these people have like budgets,
Exactly.
for that kind of stuff. And you're just like a little niche and they want to get into something that's not, the radio or the back of some push cart at cars,
Yeah.
There's not that many cool options.
And you guys get to also be selective. We don't take anyone. We take, like, we have Barneys. We have the stuff that we actually use, and like Taylor's awesome. I use them all the time for my rentals. So you get to be selective. So you're naturally kind of advertising the business, because like we usually have a bullshit session at the beginning. And if there's something that happened with our sponsors, we talk about it, organically.
And also the thing that, because I think we have at one point we had 3 different marijuana company sponsors, because they're not allowed to spend, at first they weren't allowed to advertise in a lot of places, and they got a lot of money to spend. So you might have a first sponsor. Right here.
There you go. Yeah. That'd be a great one.
And we could talk about this later. I could kind of show you guys like what we approach people with, so that you can create your own.
Now, is there an approach for people that are painfully socially awkward that have absolutely no sales skills whatsoever?
He doesn't talk to people.
We got Christian right here, who everyone loves.
That's true.
Send him out.
Everyone loves Christian.
Go out, Christian. Bring us
See,
some sponsors.
I told you. All he does is pick on me.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you would ever do that. Yeah, I think Christian had more friends on the North Slope than anybody.
Oh yeah, everyone loves him. Yeah.
Well, and then I would say 90% of it is through email.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or phone call. And then if someone wants to actually meet someone in person, you just send Christian.
The other thing you could do is like you have a built-in audience here already. Mm-hmm. You have a ton of downloads, so you could talk about it on the podcast, just like for a minute, and be like, "Hey, we're gonna start. We want some sponsorships. We want to advertise. If you're interested, text us.
Yeah, I think
send us a message."
Yeah, part of the problem is I don't think that our actual like local listenership is it. When we started out, it was mainly Alaskans.
Yeah,
and then from there we get mostly lower 48 and like different countries. But Alaska we have what feels like really limited actual listeners within this state, and so I feel weird going out and being like, hey, let me talk to people in Ireland about your comic book shop. You know what I mean? Like so that's kind of the thing. Like we've been trying to find for. God, it feels like years now. Like, how can we get the word out locally without me getting off this couch?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's figure that out.
Well, this is a part of it right now. You're going to get a whole bunch of
there you go.
Well, that's what we're
bunch of local
excited
people.
about it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because the local ones will have the best stories.
Yeah.
Alaskans aren't like other people that are out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, totally.
Out in the wild hunting and fishing. Alaskans, it's a little different here.
Oh, man.
As you guys know.
Oh,
yeah. Probably get you a bunch of guests or people sending in stories too.
That would
be the best thing. Yeah.
Especially like people that are living in these super remote areas, like podcasts is their thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy how it's funny, like we were talking about earlier, how big podcasting became.
Yeah.
Like when I first started telling people about it, they looked at me like I was crazy.
Oh man.
You were, yeah.
When I was like, you need to listen to Dan Carlin or something.
Yeah, oh totally, dude.
Yeah, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had to explain to my parents like what it was. Like, what?
I had that same problem.
Is it
with
like
my
the
dad,
radio?
too.
I was like, nah.
It's way better than the radio.
I think my dad tells people I'm on the radios.
Like, wow, Christian, really? What's he do? The news? No.
Yeah, those long drives on the slope in the middle of the night, man.
That was
listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
Yeah,
That's funny. But yeah, any help you guys want with that?
That'd be amazing.
Thank you.
Help you guys out.
What
I'm sure some of our sponsors would sponsor you guys too.
That'd be awesome.
when you look at other podcasts in the same genre, who are their sponsors?
Most of them are like Simply Safe. Like how can I be guarded at night? I'm listening about.
Oh man, that is funny.
There's a lot of like
There you go.
food surplus or like prepper stuff and Simply Safe and stuff like that. So and I was talking to my buddy and he was like, yeah, once you average like 10,000 downloads an episode. He's like, I can hook you up with a contract that you get brands like Simply Safe and stuff, and they pay like contracts for a yearly thing, and it's like a fat number. I'm like, okay, wow. Yeah. So that's kind of been the goal. Has been like, let's get to the point where we can actually monetize this, and then do what kind of started as a passion project, just full time, because that would be dope. We'd like travel places and do like crazy shit.
Oh man, that'd be fun.
Yeah, but it's hard to do.
Edinburgh.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't sell yourself short. You could be getting something now until then.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's our goal too. But
Yeah.
as you build and build, you might as well get some support from the people around you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun though. Just especially lately, the last few months, we've been getting a lot of eyes on us that we didn't have before. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah. I bet a fencing company or Guardian Security.
Yeah,
one of
there you
these
go.
people
Heather's Choice.
Yeah.
Heather's Choice for the food.
Get some psychics, local psychics. Be like, hey, it's time. Come on, you need more business. Let's be honest.
Psychics aren't true.
Well, that's not a great way to get psychics, dude. Just be like, yeah, definitely, I believe all of that. Come aboard.
I always make a joke that I have to like say certain skeptical things to keep my skeptics card whenever.
Yeah.
So I may or may not believe that, but.
Yeah, you are a skeptic.
For people wanting to find the show, on Instagram, it is the Freaky Deaky Pod. They got a bunch of good clips and what they got shows and what's going on there. But if you really want to actually go and watch the show, just go to their YouTube page, which is at Freaky Deaky Pod as well. And on there you can find all the shows. I do recommend watching the shows. I don't know, for me it added a bit more comedy to it, which is, you guys have a really good balance of like, let's freak people out, but yet it's funny.
Yeah, that was the point too. Is I was like, I want this to be lighthearted, and my mom growing up always wanted me to be a stand-up comedian, so I was like, well, I'll just talk about ghosts instead. It'll be fine, and and so I was like, oh, I'll just use this. I'm not an outside person. I'm kind of an introvert by nature, so. Yeah, it worked out to do this instead of standing in front of a stage of people that probably don't want to hear what you have to say. So,
can you walk me through the conversation when you approached your father-in-law with this idea? Like, hey, so I think you're
I was
the guy.
baked out of my mind. Obviously, that goes without saying. But yeah, I think we were probably in the garage, right, where I was just like. It's cold in here. We should probably do this inside, And so, it had been something that was on my mind for a while. Where I was like, I just want to do a podcast. I was like, it seems like a lot of fun. I like talking to like my friends and stuff like that, and I love this subject. And nobody in my life was like interested in this stuff, and so I was like, this is just the selling point: is you listen to what I have to say, and then you say, I believe you 100%. And that hasn't happened yet, but we're gonna get there, at some point.
I don't think he expected me to say, let's just do it.
Yeah.
When he brought it up, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of work at all. It's fine.
This is the first thing he's ever agreed to.
That's right. That's right.
True.
Can we start with ghosts?
We can start with ghosts.
And then as we proceed, because I got several things of this nature, like if you have a story that goes along with it, or an opinion.
Don't say that. I do have wrong thing to say to Christian. That's
He nodded his head. It's like, hey, I got an
I
opinion.
think I may be able to form one or two. Sure.
Is there a ghost story that stands out? Have you ever think you saw a ghost?
I saw Mr. Belvedere in a tree when I was 6. So
Are you
that's
serious?
the last ghost I've seen.
Was he already dead?
He was just hanging out in a tree.
Who's Mr. Belvedere?
Oh man, you don't. I was
That was a
fucking
great show back in
deathly
the day.
afraid of Mr. Belvedere.
He was creepy though.
Yeah, he was creepy as fuck. Yeah, I saw him in California in a tree.
Mr.
He was a
Belvedere?
ghost.
Can I Google that?
That is weird.
Yeah, and I was scared of him for the rest of my life. Let me think. I don't know what other ghost.
Belvedere or Belvedere?
Belvedere
With the V?
B. There it is, right there. He got him. Yeah, Christopher Hewitt is Mr. Belvedere. Oh,
Okay,
man.
gotcha.
He's like a British nanny.
Yeah, okay.
It is totally not cool, man. Oh my god. Fucking redcoats are back.
I personally don't think I've ever seen a ghost.
I haven't seen a ghost. I did have an experience. We just talked about it, I think, on last week's episode. I went to a safety conference in San Antonio, and we stayed across the street from the Alamo at the Manger Hotel. And I was in the haunted section. I knew it was haunted because I'd looked it up before I went there and watched a video on it and everything. So I asked for the haunted section.
Yeah.
And I went out after the conference. We went to the bar, drank a little bit, came back, went to shut the door because it was like a suite-style room. And I'd left the bathroom door open. When I came back, the bathroom door was shut.
Ooh.
So I'm like moving it. I opened it up, moved it around, see if it just swings lightly.
Doesn't it?
So then I was like, I have to be up at like 6 o'clock for a class or something tomorrow. How do I sleep? Knowing I'm not a big believer in ghosts, but
Yeah.
I just determined the best way is just turn my back to that door.
Yeah, there it is.
And I went to sleep. Might have been the alcohol, but
I mean, that's the only way, right? That's the only way.
I changed my mind. I do have a ghost. It would happen at church a lot. It was called the Holy Ghost.
Hell yeah.
I've experienced that one too at church. I was an altar boy.
Okay. Yeah, a little
Well, there you
different.
go.
Maybe the good ghost. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, I have seen full ghost.
Scott's the one with
Taking
more
over.
experiences like that. I live a boring life.
Yeah, I've had a lot of really strange that I guess you could just consider to be ghosts. Like just one-off weird things that I saw growing up. One that is probably the most terrifying was I woke up, I was probably like 15 or 16 or something like that. I woke up and to someone saying, "Help me." And I look over at my bed. My cat is laying on top of the covers, and she's like also looking around like she heard something. And so I'm like, okay, something must be here. And I turn around, I look, and it's nothing. The room itself is like illuminated by nightlight, the moon. And so I can see everything perfectly fine, but there's nothing there. And so I'm like, oh, weird. And I go back to sleep, and I hear it again. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of strange. And so I get off the bed, and I'm like literally looking around. My closet is open. I'm like, there's nothing in there. And I hear it a third time. Or no, I don't hear it. I look down at my pillowcase, and it's like moving.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, that's not my pillow. And like I lift up just the flap of the pillowcase, and like this, the only way for me to describe it is like a torso and a head of a like Civil War soldier. His head rises up from the back, and he like locks eyes with me, and he just screams like, "Help me!" And I threw that shit on the ground so fast, and my cat is staring at it. I'm staring at it. And it's like moving around, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get back in bed. And the pillow, it's not going to be able to climb. It doesn't have arms or anything. I think it should be fine down there, And I went back to sleep.
Must not have been that scary. Also, you can't have a Civil War ghost in California.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah.
You just kept going west.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
unlike Dan, whatever his name is, I do not have.
Maybe Dan, whatever his name, could explain the history of
Maybe
it.
the Blue Jackets were in town playing.
There you go.
There you go. And so, like, that, as terrifying of an experience as that is, over the years, like looking this stuff up, I have found that there are certain, I guess, sleep disorders, I'd say, where it's like hypnagogic or gogic hallucinations or hypnopompic hallucinations, which is pretty much one of them is your brain hallucinates before you go to sleep. And so people, before they fall asleep, they see some random creature in the corner of the room. It could be one of these. And then the other is when you wake up, your brain actually projects stuff from your dreams into reality. And so that's what you're seeing.
Like an almost still sleep state.
Yeah, you're dreaming, right? But
Yeah.
you're dreaming before you're supposed to be dreaming.
Yeah. So a lot of what I've seen I cannot explain, and then a lot of what I've seen I can be like, well, maybe it's just that.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like it doesn't happen as much ever since I left my family house.
Yeah.
Like I had a few experiences in Vegas and stuff, but for the most part, everything took place in my the house I was raised in.
Yeah.
Have you done the ghost tour in Anchorage?
No, that's on our list to do pretty soon, actually. We were just
Have you seen the guy who does the ghost tour in Anchorage?
No.
He is the ghost.
He is a ghost.
Wow.
Is he?
Yeah, you should see this guy, dude.
Really?
I tried to communicate with him in a normal fashion one time. Because he would come by the hot dog stand all the time with the ghost people on his tour.
Okay.
He does his little thing, and he has the contraptions. And yeah, let me pull him up real
pull
quick.
him
Man,
up,
this
pull
guy
him up.
looks. But yeah, you guys should do that one. Like, it's really popular, and that guy really.
I'd
really
love to go do it. That seems like a fun thing. We should all hook up and go.
Yeah, I would definitely. I've always wanted to go on one, even though I'm not the biggest believer in ghosts.
Yeah. It's just fun. The ghost tours in other cities like Edinburgh have been awesome. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, this guy here.
known.
He looks.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's like all dressed up in like a
I'm gonna
three-piece
see
suit.
him in a tree tonight.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, he
That
does,
dude is
yeah,
one.
he does a really good
He's
job.
perfect, man.
He's real
he
deal,
dresses
dude.
the part, dude.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever
And
seen
anyone
that.
visiting Anchorage, go do the ghost tour. That guy does a really good job. And there's a lot of
Yeah, there's a lot of haunted stuff.
a lot of haunted stuff downtown, man. That Anchorage Hotel, the 4th Avenue Theater, the Federal Building. I had some girls that worked for me when we were at the under or where Urban Greens is. I don't know what that building is. It's right across from the 49th State Brewery. It's like that like long building. Now there's like an art place.
Yep.
But anyway, I had a supply thing in the basement down there. And the girls, after like a couple weeks, like they refused to be down there like by themselves. They kept telling me they like heard something or they saw something, and I'm just like, if you're working harder, you won't see nothing.
All right, Dad.
But they literally would not go down there. They're like, we're not going unless you're down there or someone else is down there, and like I added lights and because it was like sketchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to work at a hotel in California, and it was an old hotel, and people were afraid to go in certain areas in that hotel just because of those same reasons. They would
Weird
hear
energy.
something, feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that energy?
I always think it's like an imprint on history is one of the things. Like not necessarily a ghost, but maybe just like a psychic memory just left in time.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought about it like, is there like another dimension that we can't sense as living humans, but that
It's right next to us in the same.
Yeah, and it's like an access point, or something,
Yeah.
like,
If you
walking through graveyards and stuff.
Yeah, I think if you pull up a video of someone explaining the fourth dimension and how we would perceive it in the third dimension, it's nightmare fuel, man. You're just like...
Isn't there the one kid who explained it? There was like a crazy video of like a kid that explained it, right?
Yeah, I've seen him. There was someone did like a whiteboard thing where they're kind of drawing it out as it goes along. And like, so you have a visual representation. You're like, yeah, anything's possible, man. Like, this is possible right here. I could see a fucking dog creature walking through my hallway. Why not,
Well, if you can't interpret it, then your brain's going to give you its own interpretation of something. If it's too crazy, and could be a hat man, could be a ghost-looking thing, could be a demon. It just kind of depends on what your brain's going to do. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this kid, dude. How long is this video? 9 minutes? Is that too long to watch? This is the one you're talking about, right?
I've definitely seen this one.
Okay,
yeah.
is that one's pretty good?
I think so, yeah. There was, I remember that one showing up on Facebook at some point in time, and I watched it and just felt really weird afterwards. But there was another guy that has like a whiteboard or something, or like maybe it's like an animation, like After Effects or something like that thrown together. But yeah, both of them are good, and both of them just made me feel really sad, which is great sometimes. You need that. Like, oh, cool.
We gonna watch it?
Yeah, I think we'll play it on here. I'm going to change the audio here to this thing.
And then when you get home and you're freaked out, just listen to the other one below it. The physicist reacting.
This kid doesn't know what he's talking about. Stop watching the video.
I'm sure there's going to be an ad here. And then we'll play it.
This folder is a dimensional plane. Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So, now that I have stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world, but what exactly is a fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle. Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfect equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any lights or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything is happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are. The reason that the two-dimensional organism doesn't see things the way they really are is because the two-dimensional organism sees things in one dimension, just how we, three-dimensional creatures, see things in two dimensions. So in a way, we don't really see our world the way it truly is. A four-dimensional creature, however, seeing our three-dimensional world in three dimensions, would be able to see through things. Would be able to see absolutely everything, just as we could see if there was several organisms spread along a 2D environment on your floor. You would be able to see inside houses. You would be able to see inside of people. So if a two-dimensional world, a flat surface, is just made of an infinite amount of lines, then the 3D world is just made out of an infinite amount of planes. So the 4D world, logically, is made out of an infinite amount of 3D objects. Though they're not just put together like you would like building blocks. That's not how the 4D world is. That would just be 3D again. So in order to understand this, we need to understand the logical progression of mathematics in our world. Imagine that this connects piece represents the first dimension. It's simply a straight line, which is basically what the first dimension looks like. And if you add 3 more of these straight lines and connect them so that adjacent sides are perpendicular and opposite sides are parallel, then you have the basic shape of the second dimension. You have a square. Now if you keep going from here and you add it so that there's a total of 4 squares, and all adjacent sides are perpendicular and all opposite sides are parallel, then you end up with, obviously, a cube. So if you tried to keep going from here, and you would have a 4-dimensional basic shape, you would have what's called a tesseract. Now I cannot show you a tesseract, but you need to understand that it's basically 4 cubes that are within each other that have all adjacent sides perpendicular and all opposite sides parallel. Yet there are 4 lines connecting to each vertex. So a tesseract would look somewhat like this picture. Now that's not exactly what it looks like because this is a 2-dimensional depiction, and obviously not all of the lines are straight. So I cannot show you what a tesseract actually looks like because we cannot perceive things in the 3rd dimension.
Would you be...
Everyone on board still?
Yeah. Hello. We're back. Okay.
I can break that down.
I take it back. Yeah, that made perfect sense.
Yeah. Break it down for us.
I mean, basically, you're not seeing the world that we live in. We don't see it as it really is kind of what I feel like he's saying. I mean, he's way smarter than I'll ever be, but if you look at animals, they don't see the same world we do. No. Some of them don't even see anything like we do.
Yeah.
They may see magnetic waves. They may see like the wind currents blowing. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, bears can smell time.
right.
That's
That's insane.
And then there's plenty of animals we don't even know what they can do with their senses and how they experience them. And here we are kind of looking at them through our eyes, and it's not even close. So if there's stuff out in the world, whether it might be a ghost, it may not be like everybody says it's a spirit of somebody that passed. Might not be anything like that. It could just be some kind of energy left over, whether it's from a person or an experience. You know, some people might say demons. You know, who knows?
Some people might say that, yeah.
Yeah. Not me, but
That goes without saying, sure.
we live in a world that we don't really experience.
Well, that's
as
kind of
it
how
is.
you were explaining, like, maybe that ghost is still in the same, like stuck in that,
Loop.
that loop or that area or that zone.
Right.
I always have trouble that a actual spirit would be stuck on this plane of existence, repeating things over and over again. That doesn't really seem like, first off, fair, but also kind of the universe works in a certain way that it seems like it doesn't always make sense to us, but there's like...
Well, it could be there and
meaning.
not stuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so who knows what it is. I don't necessarily go with the spirit thing, but also I'm skeptical to the point that drives Scott nuts. So,
Well, let's switch it to something that we do know for sure,
okay.
and that is the Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Actually, one of my favorite subjects, even though sometimes I challenge Scott on it.
No,
And I will
he
say-
believes in him. It's fine.
Did you design that Bigfoot?
Yes.
And you put the AK hand thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Nice
awesome,
touch.
man.
I didn't know about the AK hand. It was passed on by our other old host, Heather, and so I was like, I could probably implement that.
Yeah.
I'll take that sticker. You have a sticker of that?
Yeah, we actually brought you guys a shit ton
Oh, you
of
did?
stuff.
Oh, man.
yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
That's money.
It seems okay. Before we get like just Bigfoot, I put Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch. Are we in agreement that these are three different things,
I would say yes.
or is it more like it's kind of the same thing but three different
They're
regions?
regionally different.
Yeah.
I think in the past they might have been the same thing, and then depending on which region they ended up in for thousands and thousands of years, that might have changed.
As like bears have become this over here and versus that, or
Same thing. Humans even changed depending on what region they are over thousands of years.
Okay,
I would think that would be maybe more what it is.
you agree with that, Scott?
Yeah, that, and also I think a lot of people just have different names for stuff. You know, like if I see
okay.
something out here and I called it a Yeti or a Sasquatch, and then someone saw something in Florida and they're like, "Well, this is clearly a skunk ape," then you're like, "This is the exact same thing we're seeing. We're just in different locations." So I think that's possible. But there are a lot of like stories of like Yetis up in like the Himalayas and whatnot, you know. So I'm like, hey, I don't know, I've never seen one, but I definitely believe they're out there.
Have you seen one?
I have not seen one. I'm not sure they're out there anymore. I do believe that they could have been, because if you listen to like native stories all over the world, Aboriginal stories, they have the tale of them. Like sometimes they call them giants, sometimes they call them hairy ones.
Okay, so that was another thing I had was giants. Think those are connected?
I think they're connected. Scott will tell you something else.
Okay.
But
I'll tell you a wild story.
Yeah, I think giants are nothing but larger individuals in the ancient past that did brutal things, and people just labeled them giants to kind of
Would it be like,
propaganda.
you know, in 1920, Shaq just comes around the corner?
That's what I think it would be.
You know,
You see certain...
you would be like, holy fuck,
Well,
That's a giant.
you know?
Well, there's
Especially if he's like in Japan,
right, exactly.
you know?
There's a story of one of the early explorers of America. He's a Spanish explorer, if I remember right. Went to the area around Florida,
Yes.
and the Native American tribe in that area was said to be, on average, at least the leaders were 7 feet tall.
Wow.
So they were giants to these Spaniards. who were like 5'6", 5'7".
Right.
And they basically spanked the Spaniards. The Spaniards killed their leaders, did some weird stuff and set them on fire and stuff. But these people followed them throughout like the lower part of the country until they got to Mexico. And basically by the time they got to Mexico, they lost all the gold they stolen and all the stuff they stolen along the way.
I read that book. What book is that?
I don't remember the book.
Man, I read that.
Yeah, but it's I don't
It
know
was
if
one of
it's
one of those guys.
Yeah, I don't know if it was
Pizarro.
Cortez.
Cortez. It might have been Cortez.
Yeah,
it
I
actually
can't
might have been the book Cortez.
Yeah, and it's just this crazy story, and then they have the giants down in.
That's right in the beginning.
Yeah,
and then they have to run from like the cannibal ones that are on like the Gulf side of Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when they
And they were saying they were giants. To me, I feel like they're just tall people.
They're shacks.
They're tall
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, Scott, are we talking gianter?
Oh,
giant.
way gianter, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you see when you go on the internet, sometimes it'll pop up like a crazy picture of like some little guy in a really, really, really like giant.
15, 20 feet tall or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, more. I believe a lot of crazy shit, guys. I'm going to be honest with you right now. You know,
Well, that's why we brought you in here, Scott.
Like, legitimately.
Let me grab this real quick. Let's get into this.
You might need it. I may have hit it a little too much if I take this too far. But yeah, I was raised Christian, and you know, in Christian churches and stuff like that, it's all very boring for the most part. You know, thank God.
You didn't go to my
Jesus.
church.
Yeah, definitely not. But yeah, so I'm used to just like the boring story of like, yeah, there's God and Jesus loves you. Now get out of here, you know. And
Giants are demons.
Now go do good.
yeah,
Fallen angels.
And so yeah, I believe that. And then the older I got and like the weirder like stories I'd listen to or anything like that, it was tying the strange stories I'm hearing to how could that possibly connect to like my religion in any like way, shape, or form, right? But it did. And people were like, well, there's these other books that, you know, aren't exactly canonical, but they tie in and they were removed because it's just too crazy and people aren't ready for that. And I was like, well, I guess I'll crack them open and see what that means. But yeah, pretty much the long and short of it is that there's like the story of the devil or whatever, right? Falling from heaven. There's a different story of like these watchers that are pretty much like a legion of angels or whatever that fell with Satan.
The Nephilim.
And they mated with the offspring of like humanity and stuff like that and created this race of giants that, you know, it gets very strange in like the Book of Enoch and stuff like that. But so pretty much, yeah, I believe that they can be demonic. I believe they can be just humans that are gigantic. I think they're still out there to this very day. Like there's still stories that you come across, and like there's photos that have been kind of covered up, and some of them are fake, obviously, of like people being like, look at these bones I discovered. And but yeah, I mean, I don't think every single post that has ever been like put out there is fake. And so just by that logic alone, I'm like, maybe this is real. You know, maybe these things still exist. Those Native American stories that he loves from the past are still being told. Like recently, I heard a podcast of some like drum circle that opened up, and like a Sasquatch came right out of the woods and just kind of like looked at the fire, looked at them. Everyone kind of paused and was like, yo, what the fuck is happening? And then it just walked away. And I'm like, why would you just make that up? I don't know. Like maybe there's people out there that do, but I don't think every single person that has a story is out there making this shit up.
What was like the one kind of like Sasquatch Bigfoot story that was like, yes, like this has got me where I'm a believer for you?
The very first video, that Patterson Gimlin film, it has been, people have tried to prove that wrong time and time again.
Yeah.
Like people that know all of this stuff, and they're like, I'm gonna like slow down this, I'm gonna get rid of the shake and everything like that, so we can see the way this thing moves.
Yeah.
Without any of that camera shaking or anything. And people have analyzed this thing into oblivion, saying she's at least like 9 feet or 7 feet, maybe somewhere around there. And I'm like, that's no dude in a costume. You can see all kinds of details in there that back then, no way.
I still feel like it's a dude in a costume.
Okay, which one is it?
It's that one on the left. Yeah.
The short?
Yeah, that'll work.
That's the one.
This one was the moving. Okay.
Yeah, multiple people have stabilized this thing, and it's just crazy.
I mean, it looks like some guy just looking back over his shoulder to me.
Does he have moobs, Christian?
The
Can we
gant
be honest?
is like really weird. It doesn't seem like an animal gant. like the gate, you know.
Hell yeah.
It's all rubbed.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, the rubbed. Yeah,
that's a good point.
that is super.
That makes me look at it completely different.
Yeah.
Surroundings, I guess.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. That's a while.
Oh, that's light though.
It is pretty good video.
That might be just light when they stabilize the footage.
It's pretty close to how the actual footage looks. So.
But no, I'm saying that it looks like a rub, like what Brandon's saying. But then, is it really a rub, or is it like the change in light?
I feel like there's some
looks like it
error
could be a
spots.
Yeah, no, that looks like rub to me. That's interesting.
Rubs and scratches and stuff. This would be a female.
Yeah,
It's so funny because when you say that, that brings it to another level. Because to me, if there's something like that existed, it would exist in a
It's
way
not really
that
a perfect hide.
Yeah.
it would-
Yeah.
No,
Like
yeah, it would show that it lived in the wild.
And, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes a lot.
So
more
this
sense.
is the number one footage.
That's the classic one. That's the one that broke it into the public's view, and is still probably the best one out there.
And dude's been offered $1 million on the air to just admit that he made it up and faked it, and he's like, "No, it's
Really?
real." Yeah,
Kind of like the Bob Lazar. We'll get into that.
yeah.
So if you want to watch this, I just on YouTube searched Bigfoot Patterson film and it popped up.
And what year was that?
68 or 9.
Okay.
Maybe
so
earlier.
like here's like my practical engineering brain. So I'm sitting here going, okay, all this stuff here, but then how many more people are there around? How many more people go in the wilderness? And now we all have cell phones, but then we don't have any more footage.
That's one of my problems is with all the technology that's out there now, just that any of us can carry. If we're still looking at this as one of the best,
80,
pieces of footage,
60 years ago.
yeah. And it is. I mean, I watch a lot of them just trying to research for the pod. I see all kinds of crazy stuff, and most of them don't look this good. Most of them look fake.
Right.
Part of that is also though that we think that the cameras on our phones are fantastic, but have you zoomed all the way in on a camera? It's just
That's
like
terrible.
little circles. You're like, this isn't even. It's not pixels, sure, but the actual quality is garbage. I'm like, so you see a lot of fake stuff these days, but you also see some kind of convincing things where you're like, yeah, that might actually be real. I might actually be seeing something really strange out here.
Well, and if you
You know what? With that, I kind of disagree. Or I know that there's a lot of like hunters and stuff with like we go out and we're bringing optics and we have the ability to put the phone on it and record it and we're looking at a sheep from how far away.
Yeah, you guys got stuff
Spotting
that's like
scopes.
military would use. Is
Yeah.
that kind of technology, so you can see everything
Yeah.
pretty much.
But you thought maybe they just died out.
I think it's hard in most places in the world to imagine that they're still there. Alaska, maybe, up around Washington. There's a lot of area there.
Amazon.
I can't see Florida as much, even though there's some wild places in Florida.
Swamps, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's not the type of animal you're going to find living in
hairy-
a swamp normally.
The
That's
python's got them.
Gets hot
Yeah.
out there, guys. You got to cool off.
Yeah, that's true.
The only thing I could say is if they existed now and they're going to certain places in this country where they shouldn't be because there's not enough wilderness, it's almost like, do they migrate to a religious type site? Are they at that level?
Oh,
where
man.
they've been
Squatch Jesus,
they've been
yeah.
going to the same place.
They're
for-
underground below us right now.
I mean, there's theories about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's whole theories
They're
that that's
hanging
where
with the lizard people.
that's a creation myth from one of the Native American tribes, is they all came from underground.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we don't really know what sent them there to begin with. Some catastrophe or the world.
Yeah. Oh, we
You
know.
know,
We
falling
know
apart.
that. What
Who
is
knows?
it? Richard Dreyer or no? What's that? What's that meteor theory?
Oh,
yeah.
Dryas.
younger Dryas.
Younger
Dryas.
Dryas. I always think Richard Dreyfuss. I'm like,
I
oh,
was
that's
like,
wrong.
Richard Dreyfuss theory. What?
Yeah, younger. Yeah. Well,
So is there any good footage or thoughts on Yeti, right? Like the northern white?
I haven't seen anything really that.
The only thing is pictures from that was that hiking incident out there. Those remember those pictures, the weird
From the Corvina.
is it that or was
or
it the other one?
Dyatlov Pass?
Yeah.
You guys have heard of that, right? The group of Russians that all ended up dead in this. That they were a hiking group and they
Young kids.
found them dead.
No, I didn't.
There are all
heard
kinds of crazy theories about it. It's like
Weird stuff happened to the bodies were in like weird conditions where you're
Really?
like, this isn't just frostbite or
Yeah.
the theories are crazy. It goes anywhere from UFOs to the Soviet Union's nuclear testing, that kind of stuff. And
Were there tracks and things?
That I don't
think there were
remember. It's
tracks.
been a while.
It took a while for them to find them once they all disappeared, and all of them died, so nobody could say what happened.
Right.
Some people believe it was basically like a type of avalanche that happens during like warmer weather. Like underneath the snow kind of collapses, and that what trapped them. That's the scientific thing. Scott might think differently about what
do you
happened.
think?
I honestly don't. I've read so many different versions of this at this point that I'm like, I feel like just my memory alone is contaminated. Where I'm like, I can't tell if I remember or if I believe it or not. But it's a wild story out there. Yeah, I've seen a lot of different takes on it.
The Russians always have wild stories, though,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's true.
and you can't track anything down to figure out what's real or what's not. I mean, even in the real life now, it's hard to tell. So
Right.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, and when I come back from break, I want to get into aliens and Lazar. But before that, I noticed, I didn't watch the episode, but you guys had one on dolls, like demonic
Yeah. they came out
demonic
today.
dolls and things
Yeah.
like that. I had an episode when I was a kid. My grandma used to make like life-size dolls, which is
that'd be scary enough.
Yeah.
scary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Don't need
But the
much
reason, like, in my family's from Colombia, and on New Year's Eve, or New Year's. So when you go to these villages and these places in Colombia, and even the big cities like Bogota and stuff like that, they have life-size dolls everywhere, like in front of your house, in front of your shop, and a lot of them are filled with explosives. And so, like, come New Year's Eve, they light them all up and all this stuff. So my grandma knew how to make dolls. So she made us all dolls, and I had this like life-size one, which was cool, you know what I'm saying, until like it came alive one night, you know, in the closet, and it was like by the bed, and it just like came alive one night and freaked me out, and I ended up like ripping it apart and throw it in the closet, and I had to like hide it, you know what I'm saying, because I didn't want to be like, oh, sorry, abuelita, I ruined your doll how long it took you to make it for me. As a baby, she gives you like this life-size doll, dude, and it was so scary, dude, and I just like one night just freaked out, and like the thing scared me half to death, and I just like tore it up.
Do you feel like you saw something, or do you feel like you imagined something?
That was where you know, the days when what was coming out, like Cabot or Chucky, and
man,
and that. So I don't know if it was just me like thinking, you know.
That's where it's hard to tell, because sometimes, like, especially when we talk about it all the time, sometimes people, I don't necessarily believe they saw a ghost or a demon or whatever, but they still had that experience.
Yeah.
Something still happened.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the way the brain works sometimes, way the atmosphere
Their mind
is.
saw it.
Something, they still experience the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I had enough fear in me to like attack this thing and like tear it up.
Yeah, so
Way
you
to
saw
go,
something.
though, you know,
Yeah.
you didn't just be like, oh no, like you went out there and beat the shit out of this thing.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
Not gonna
Yeah.
get me, man.
Yeah, you didn't do your typical horror movie thing where you just put
Well,
it
I would
away,
like,
it comes back
at
later.
first it took me a while. I would like close the closet and make sure it was like in there, and I could never have like the closet open because it was in there. And then one night it was like open, and I saw it, and I just like,
Yeah, you heard earlier when Christian got scared that the door was open, right? Like you went and fought this thing. Christian was literally like, "That door, oh shit, that's open. I'm just gonna roll over."
yeah, it's
not
like I'm
get
just
me.
gonna ignore it.
Yeah, I'm much more passive, I guess, but
I mean, I did try to hide it for a while,
But it's
and
still-
then eventually it was just like, this thing's got to go.
That's really interesting. It's like that. I wonder if, you know, you take the kids out in the wilderness and stuff, they're just sensitive to things that we're not, right? Like they see leaves and just notice things, smells, sights, everything, detail. And I wonder, and when you're a kid, like we all had that fear of all these different things, places, very, very sensitive to situations, right? And I wonder if that's always there. We're just desensitized to it, just like we are when we go on these walks now. We don't see all the detail and smell like maybe the kids see.
You probably start to create those blocks as you're growing up. Like, all right, I'm not afraid of this anymore. It's just the wind. It's just, the
but
light.
you lose something in there when you do that.
Yeah,
it's
some imagination.
Yeah, it's like you're taking away that magic you had because a child sees the world as magical,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But we lose it as we get older, and that could probably explain a lot of our misery or suffering that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Is we got to find a way to keep that kind of childlike magic to where we see the world like that, to where we see the beautiful things that we miss a lot.
Right.
And I would say, like, people that go outdoors a lot see it better than most people, but even for them, a lot of times you have to remind yourself to look around and kind of experience the things that are there.
Yeah.
And I think as a child, you're very impressionable. And my family was very religious. I feel like it was very cultish what we did, where we grew up in, the church we grew up in, and they instilled a lot of fear. Like, to me now, looking back at it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you're going to go to this burning lake of hell and there's demons. And then you see this person like doing this crazy act in the church, like running, and they're full of like a ghost. Like, you're like, as a kid, you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Like, the world's pretty
Then
wild.
you go home and you're like, this doll could be fucking alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing just came out of the fucking depths of hell and it wants to fucking eat me.
You just heard about the demons at church.
Yeah.
Now you have one at home.
Yeah. So partly I never took my kids to church. I know against my mom's, like, whatever. But I was like, I felt like I gained more like fear than anything out of that. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the problem with any of those kind of organizations. There's not anything necessarily wrong with them. It's bringing the fear into it.
Yes.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
And teaching you that you should be afraid of everything you do. Every mistake you make is basically
a sin.
It's like a fear to like keep you contained in this thing. And I had one like major panic thing before we go to the break. Kind of off topic, maybe, but maybe not. Like, I don't know what church religion you grew up in, but like the one we were in, they believed in like God's coming back. There's going to be the rapture.
Yeah.
Everyone that's good's going, don't get left behind. And like, we'd even like watch these weird movies. I remember like in Sunday school,
Kirk Cameron.
like, Jimmy got left behind, and the guillotine and all this. Like, dude, I just had these like, God, dude, it's crazy.
You're like, well, I feel great.
But I woke up one day, like on a Sunday, and I was like, we were supposed to be going to church, and like everyone's gone in my house. Like my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad. I'm just like panicking, dude. I had a full, and like there's no one to call. There was just like the house phone, the roto dial. I had the most panic ever of my life because I was like, I got left behind. I didn't make the fucking rapture. I'm like, I'm bad.
You're like thinking through everything you did.
Oh my God, dude. And I remember for hours, dude, I'm like pacing my house, and I go outside. I'm like looking like, man, it is empty out here, like thinking I'm like one of the last people on earth, and what the fuck's going to happen, dude?
It's
Isn't that fucked up,
It's
dude?
religious Home Alone, dude.
Yeah, dude, religious Home Alone.
Yeah, pitch that to one of the
But
streaming
this is
services.
this is actually terrifying though. That would be
as a child,
It'd
man?
be the worst.
Yeah.
that stuff's already rough when you believe that when you're a young boy and you first look at a girl, all of a sudden it's a sin because you looked at Tina.
The devil's watching.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you got that's just the world we kind of live in. And then I can't imagine running outside and not seeing anybody and thinking, you got left behind.
So what happened?
You built a cabin.
They ended up finally coming back. I don't know where they went to Costco, or I don't know where they went, man. They came back, and I was like, oh, man.
Where were you?
I still got time.
Yeah, but it stuck with you.
I went to church extra hard that night. I'll tell you that.
That's how it works.
We'll be right back.
Big Ray's, the Alaskan outfitter, committed to outfitting Alaskans across the state since 1947. Whether you're a recreator, parent, guide, or corporate buyer, Big Ray's has the gear you need tailored for Alaska's harsh conditions. At Big Ray's, you'll find brands like Carhartt, Grundens, Darn Tough, FXD, Okiwear, and more. Big Ray's is your one-stop shop for both outdoor gear and rugged work attire. Check out their new exclusive line of durable but affordable waders, inspired by and named after the majestic Aralak River in remote western Alaska. The Aralak wader was designed by Alaskans and proven for the diverse waters of the last frontier. Visit Big Ray's at any of their 5 locations statewide, 2 in Anchorage, 2 in Fairbanks, 1 in Kodiak, or check them out online at bigrays.com.
Tailored Restoration, helping Alaskans turn disasters into new beginnings since 1972. Their 24-hour services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, and repairs. Tailored built its reputation with years of committed and reliable service to the community with innovative restoration and home remodeling. When you have an unexpected home issue at the most improbable time, Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you anytime, day or night. Tailored Restoration has locations to serve you in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Give them a call at 907-344-1239 or make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlander products. If you want to customize your vehicle, talk to the team at Total Truck, where you'll find their expertise along with top brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Frontrunner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Lining bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Want to turn your truck into a sleeping option? They have rooftop tents, custom camping equipment, electronics, and solar energy packages to keep you powered up deep in the backcountry. Stop by their store location on Dowling between the new and old Seward Highway, or check them out at TotalTruckAK.com.
It's like Christian, they're all dead.
We're back.
We got into a heated argument over the break. Everyone left.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It's just the way it goes sometimes, you know. It's fine.
You should have got left in the rapture. Fucking guy. Remember what you did that one time? What was the church you grew up in? Was it just like Catholic or was it?
Oh no, it was.
Was it like what I experienced? Straight cult.
There were, I think, when I was young, it was like Baptist, and then it was my mom only. Like same situation. My dad didn't go to church or anything like that. So I know I didn't really think of different denominations or anything. I was like, oh, we're just going to a different church.
Were people like getting the Holy Ghost?
Yeah,
and there was like baptisms, and then
a couple different ones. Yeah.
Did you ever have like where one person like gets the Holy Ghost and then they start speaking in tongues in a foreign language?
Yeah.
And it just gets silent in a room of like 200 people, and this person's at the top of their lungs, just like, like saying like some sort of Hebrew or something, and then it's like quiet for like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden someone else stands up and just like is translating what this person said.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like traumatizing as a child, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like thinking of it now, like that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I said, I think it was like we started Baptist, and then there's like 2 or 3 different denominations that we ended up switching to the point like where when I moved to Vegas, I didn't actually go to a church. I was like, well, I'm a grown man now, it's fine. But
he felt guilty.
Well, he's a sinner.
Well, yeah, I was a no good dirty sinner, so there was that. But outside of that, like when I moved out here, his daughter was, much to his chagrin, going to a church. And so
it didn't bother me, actually.
Yeah. No, so I went to that one with her, and it was actually the first church that I've ever been to that I was like, oh, these people actually love people out here. They're actually like doing good stuff.
Yeah.
And like the message isn't about, you know, all the crazy shit. It's just like focusing your heart on doing good and loving God and sharing that, the gospel, whatever. And I was like, this is nice. And then you got hit with the pandemic, and they dispatched, and we were like, well, I guess that's no more church for us for the time being. So we've gone to a couple out in Wasilla, but yeah, as an adult, I have a new appreciation for like a relationship with God that isn't like bound by the confines of this is what my pastor told me.
Yeah.
You know, so therefore, God, sorry, I got to run it by my pastor. But yeah, so I don't really go to church anymore.
Got it. I mean, nothing wrong with church. I think it does, having faith and whatever, like it's really good for family.
I think religion is great.
It is. Like I grew up, I have a lot of friends still from church, and like I probably would have been a worse kid if I wasn't into that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But I just do think that firsthand experience, me and my brothers and my sister and my cousins and all of us going through this, it's like, looking at it now, that was a little extreme.
And I think a lot of people have that.
So like I have no problem. Like if one of my kids wants to go to church one day and become religious and whatever, like that's on you. You can go do that, but I'm not gonna like influence you and like make you go to this thing where it's like you're so impressionable, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I got cousins now that are like pastors and like they're deep in Florida where it's like thriving.
Right.
You know,
that's a different type of setup down there where when it comes to religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys go to church?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're Catholics, and my family's still Catholic. So every single person.
Yeah. Well, that's like normal, but weird too.
But
its own way.
I mean, it's all the same stuff you're talking about. It's just not cult. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like excessively like
maybe even worse actually
cultish more than
if you want to go deep into that.
I wouldn't classify it as a cult. Right. I would classify it as a religion.
Buddy?
So
more standing up and sitting down for sure. Yeah, at the very least. Yeah.
More standing up. And
but
sitting
I mean,
pretty much. Yeah.
But
good way.
Catholicism is the king of putting fear in your heart.
Yeah, they are.
Oh man.
I mean, that's what that's basically the basics of the religion. It's and that's the problem I think with anything, and that's why some seem cultic is when you get like a human in charge of these things, it's easy to go sideways.
You know,
did you watch Wild Wild Country?
No, I haven't.
I think I saw.
That's great.
I've heard it is.
That's where it can like be a little fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For whoever's in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little different. Okay, full switch up. I have been on an alien kick for a while.
Yeah.
It's going around.
I do
right
watch everything on aliens. I do listen to any podcasts where it's, you know, alien related. Bob Lazar, very knowledgeable on that whole story.
I would agree, Christian. I would definitely agree on that.
I'm not a Bob Lazar person.
You're not a Bob Lazar person? I wouldn't say I am or I'm not. I'm just know like his story or whatever.
Stuck to it, too.
I don't trust him.
But when now that they're having these videos and the Tic Tac videos and these other people that are coming out with these things, are you full skeptic on that?
I am not full skeptic. I am very skeptical about some of it, though. I feel like some of this information we've always had. Maybe the video we haven't, and maybe from some of the people that are discussing it, we haven't had it from them. But I don't feel like they've released anything that's really new. You know, they're getting in front of Congress talking about it, but they're not really releasing anything. They're just talking still. They're not releasing the evidence they should have if the government looked into it.
Do you think there is unreleased things?
I think, according to a lot of our aircraft companies and our weapons industries, they have some technology that they're protecting.
Absolutely,
they're doing a lot to protect.
Yeah,
their technology, and some of that stuff had a big leap. You know, from the end of World War II.
I mean,
till
if
now.
you just think of if you compare weapons to phones,
right?
Like what's happened since 2006 to today, and then we're not seeing anything since the stealth bomber. You know, like, all right, dude, like all rotary phones, so something's happening.
Okay, that's true.
And my dad worked he worked for Lockheed Martin.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
All right,
so all of his life he worked in the secret.
He got all of his journals.
He won't. He still won't let anything out. He still won't talk about most of the stuff. Wow. But you know, I remember I worked there at Lockheed for a time, just washing cars when I was younger, and I went into this one building, and there's all these like a poster of their different planes that became a big thing, and they had the SR-71, the Blackbird, which was still holds all these records for how fast it can fly. That thing first flew in the 50s, and who would have thought that unless they worked at that company? And they were using it. They still use it for some science experiments now, as far as I know. But we obviously have something better. Where did we get it? Yeah. How did we come up with it? Was it the Nazi scientists that designed it? You know, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of hidden stuff back there.
Well, along with that, is you mentioned it earlier in the show, like when so many people have been saying this, there's been so many people from different parts of the world having these encounters and crazy shit in Brazil and here and there. Like everyone's lying.
I know, exactly. I feel like there's been thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these stories dating back to even, what was that ancient one we did? Was it Alexander the Great or something like that? Apparently had like a UFO sighting of some kind, like just wild shit like that. I'm like, there's absolutely no way that nothing's happening. It's more likely, like you said, the technology of like our military alone hasn't been updated for how many years, and what are the odds that half of the things we see in the sky is just that, what the actual technology we have is? You know, we're like, what, 20 years behind or something like that? Like in the public eye, like, oh, we got hoverboards now, and the government's like, yeah, right, hoverboards, sure. Yeah. You know, so I think most of what we do see in the sky could just be military shit. Like I saw even just in the past month, I've seen this one thing flying through the sky like 4 different times.
I saw the video. It did fly in a strange way.
It just didn't look like a satellite or like a straight line. I'm like, I have no idea what it was. It wasn't a drone. It wasn't a plane, and it wasn't.
Did it look chrome?
It was nighttime. I couldn't tell. It was just a solid light.
I seen some shit like 2 weeks ago. That was weird.
Really?
You seen some shit 2 weeks ago?
Chrome shit in the sky.
Chrome shit in the sky?
I was just like, I'm seeing that.
I've heard about.
How's your butt feel?
Right above flat top?
It was an upper Huffman.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that I mean, what are your thoughts on, like, actually we have some sort of being in our possession, or someone on Earth, several countries on Earth at some point got from some sort of crash or something?
If they crash, we definitely have the bodies. And I know we've talked about it on the podcast. We have this, I think we did it for a summer break episode. It was a kind of a fictionalized version of something that was supposed to have happened. It was a book called The Palmdale Files. And the only reason I picked it up is because Palmdale is where I grew up.
Okay.
In California. So it wasn't related to that at all. But, you know, it went through this whole process of how they got these aliens, and they took them to Area 51, and somehow something got loose and it killed a bunch of the soldiers there.
Yeah.
And they basically had to like burn everything and everybody that was involved. And the book's convincing. It's fictionalized. It probably is
starring
fiction.
Sigourney Weaver.
But supposedly this guy got all this information from a guy that's really high up in the military that worked at Area 51.
Okay. Lazar.
Well, I mean, it wasn't Lazar, but it was maybe somebody that knew Lazar.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I think that's fake.
It's cake. No,
that's cake. That was the best.
I know.
The internet, man. The internet
I wanted it to
not fuck around, dude. We're looking at the Mexican when the Mexican government came out with that they found the alien, and then
it just looks like
did you see that meme where the dude did the cake thing?
No.
Oh my god, dude.
That was
Hold
hilarious.
on, dude. I gotta find it, man.
Oh, there it is right there. It says GIF on the one below it. To the right. Yeah, right there. Is that what you...
No, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. It's
So tell me the story about this. I don't know.
Okay, so the Mexican government literally came out.
The press
The
conference.
researchers, here's like the little video. I guess we could play the little video. They came out into like the hole in front of the government, like whoever is in charge of space for these guys, and like
they found Yoda.
Came out and presented these 2 caskets as if these were real aliens to like the Mexican parliament or whatever it's called down there. And it just made like national news. Like they're like saying they have these bodies and they did all these testing and all this stuff.
There were a lot of legitimate, like what's considered legitimate researchers there that felt totally undermined because they felt like this was a hoax. And they were there to present legitimate information they felt they had.
Wow.
And this was what got all the attention.
Oh.
So
And this is actually cake or something?
No.
So
This is like, you know, people are gonna meme shit as soon as it comes out. This is them. This is actually the guy in the Mexican government like presenting it to the parliament or wherever they are over there, like showing them these bodies. You know, so then it became like national news, of course. And then the meme thing that I'm talking about here, I'll try to find it. It's just, you know, someone fucking being hilarious. And you know how they have like, you can make a really cool cake and you're like, oh, is it really cake? It's a cake. And then so they did it with the thing like this right here. It's just like the guy just cutting it, you know.
That's good.
Pretty good cake making.
So did they debunk this, or so the government says that they're real
Good
aliens?
question.
What's
Good
going
question.
on with that?
I pay attention to it a little bit on Twitter, and there's people going back and forth. Some people think it's debunked. Other people believe it's a real thing. Like same with, I think it's Peru, where there's seeing all the aliens and
Are those the like hovercraft ones or whatever?
the
Do you know
ones
what
in
I'm talking
Peru.
about? Yeah,
Like Peru has something going on with the aliens supposedly, and they have like all the videos I've seen looked hoaxed, but.
What are your thoughts, Scott, on this Mexican one?
The Mexican one, yeah, I don't know. It seems really. Did that come out before or after our Congress hearing? Do you remember?
Right about the same time, I think a little bit before.
A little before.
You got to ride that coattail, man.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what? The U.S. is doing this? So, but if it came out before, maybe I have no idea.
Maybe they're just trying to
Manuela,
get us the same
bake this
things.
cake for us.
I mean, they look like little sandcastles. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I did that.
How
at one
big
point.
is that?
It
looks
was
like
tiny.
just this.
Yeah,
it's like
but other
50 feet.
governments, like legit, were like, okay, well, if this is real, let us do testing on it.
And they won't let them.
They haven't yet.
They
Only
haven't.
certain people have tested it, and I don't think they're
It was
necessarily
They have
as
yachts.
respected.
But the people that did test it did say like this is not normal.
Yeah, like
Oh, really?
cake. Yeah.
like the genetic.
Yes,
Genet-
this
yeah.
is
definitely
not.
not cake,
This is
right?
definitely not German chocolate.
Yeah, the genetic makeup is supposedly different than what you would normally find.
It's a new type of matcha.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. I always have trouble with the alien stuff now because it's just.
Can I get
There's a
some of
lot
those
of
stem
it.
cells for my knee?
It seems like there's information that's not being released, and it's either like they're hiding something or just use it to clear things up, you know. But people don't. The government isn't making it transparent for us.
And it's not like that's what governments do anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we're expecting something
Yeah.
different this time.
Yeah.
Well, there's a thought process that they're like trickling out this
Yeah.
information just to like soften the
Mass
blow
hysteria.
of like,
We
hey,
haven't been lying to you all these years, guys. Honestly.
We
Yeah.
told you the truth through all your entertainment. We were just letting you down. No,
Couldn't
slowly.
be trusted.
what I've thought about this, and I'm curious what you guys think. Like, what if they just come out and be like, yeah, they're here, they've been here. Here's one right here, and they just present one. Like, what happens to like,
Society.
yeah?
There's going to be a lot of problems, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
I
just
mean, is this
from-
religion just collapses?
I think it
No.
could. I think
Certain
it
ones,
could.
sure, but
I think.
most.
I think it just depends. I think there's a potential for it.
Or does it increase it? Like, yeah.
To me, it should be like, okay, now I just need to reorient myself with my religion because now we have more information that's been missing. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
your religion has to go away, but it will. You know, like the atheist will come from one angle attacking. Other people might be trying too hard to protect what they've been teaching instead of like, okay, we just need to look at it a little differently now, and they might do some bad things. I think it'll be a problem. I don't know if it'll be a permanent problem, though.
I think we'd have a whole nother level of like preppers.
Oh yeah.
It's
For
like
sure.
preppers to like stop aliens. I don't think we want them around.
That seems like it could escalate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about the idea, if you go deep in this alien shit like I have, that was the beginning of our evolution, was there.
The whole ancient alien thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if there's there's aliens, they probably would have interacted with past civilizations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just as if you can breed a wolf into a white Pomeranian,
Right.
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe that's where Scott's giant story, the Nephilim, mating with
I mean,
the sons and daughters of man, could
They're
just
the
be an
fallen
alien
angels. Yeah.
yeah. The unfortunate thing is, without actually knowing anything is possible. We're like, I mean, fuck yeah, maybe aliens came here and made us. Who knows?
The pyramids.
Yeah. We did this, sure. You know.
thing. Sometimes doesn't it make like that? Doesn't that feel like we're just trying to like explain why we're so smart in a way? Like
Yeah.
the aliens obviously helped us. It was either aliens or God. That's why we're
amoeba.
this is superior.
Yeah.
Superior.
But is God an
species.
alien?
Just don't know yet, you know, until we
Yeah.
actually.
It's like
get
what if
there,
God
like-
was one of us?
I need answers.
Yeah, roll the song.
Drum roll.
Is it a little less scary if they're 3 feet tall?
No.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
like, these are the aliens. Oh man, I'll kick this motherfucker.
I feel
in his
way
head.
better about 3 feet than 9 feet.
Yeah,
But okay,
that's true.
let's take this into hockey for a second. You guys have all played hockey with those little tiny guys that just cause nothing but headaches.
Stick
the
out
whole
the
game.
knees.
You know, we invented something for those, and they're shotguns, right? Like all the little critters that are hard to hit, we have shotguns.
You don't even have to be sober sometimes.
We're already ready for that one.
I don't know, man. I think the shorter ones would be more dangerous because they would have better technology to take us out.
Why would shorter ones have better technology?
I don't know, man. You ever seen E.T.?
They were made fun of.
He had
for
a
too long,
bicycle.
yeah.
He made the bicycle fly, though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I mean, would it be more like vicious to be like attacked and killed by like 1,000 rats or one bear?
Yeah, I'd rather go with the
Can
bear.
I sit it out?
Yeah,
is
the
that
bear.
possible? Or is that
The
like
bear's better.
Like, here comes 1,000 little fucking.
The bear would be less scary than 1,000 rats, to me.
quicker, maybe?
Yeah. What is in your guys' opinion, or whoever's a believer here, or skeptic, what is, in your opinion, the most, as far as like alien sightings or footage, like the most compelling, like could be legit?
There's actually been some surprisingly good ones recently. I feel like that came out.
The Alaska one.
What's the Alaska one?
Oh, the Japanese airline. Yeah, that one's pretty wild. I guess that one's believable, at least for me. But I believe a lot of these sightings. Like, there's, as someone that's done, video editing and like effects and stuff like that, like I know how to spot a fake pretty well.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for so long. You're just like, yeah, it doesn't look right. Something's not lining up here. But for the most part, like a lot of the videos are all the exact same. There's people that have seen the same shapes in different locations all across the world, don't know each other, both posted black cubes or weird shit up in the sky, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, no idea what it is, but it's definitely there,
Mm-hmm. And the stories have been like forever,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's stories about how certain pieces of art have a UFO back in the background.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a few of those.
There's actually art of what a lot of people say is a UFO sighting in Nuremberg in the Middle Ages. With all kinds of crazy lights nobody could figure out what it was.
see, when those things like pop up in my algorithm, like they do, I'm like, is this like someone doctored this, or is this like a real like something?
I always assume most of it's doctoring.
Yeah.
But I need more. But then you look for more information to get past that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't trust it at first, and then I just try to see if there's more. Like, Bigfoot's always fun because there's so many people that report experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
The UFO thing, aliens, is a little harder. I don't know if there's one that's very convincing, like one instance that's convincing to me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that you can't really get from the CIA or the government that happened in the past, including supposed shoot downs of our planes from aliens. I mean,
Isn't on the UFO side though? Like, I mean, it's pretty much confirmed that there's objects moving around
right.
that we don't know what they are. That is a UFO. So we know UFOs are real. Now, are they extraterrestrial? Is the question, right?
I'm going with interdimensional.
Yeah, there you go.
Even wilder, why not?
The way they're moving, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like another dimension we just can't comprehend.
And
We
they're
saw the 9-year-old doing it earlier.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, obviously this.
But he had like a grown-up voice. He
was
might have
kinda
been
strange.
That
alien,
kid
right?
is gonna be my
God.
new Mr. Belvedere, dude.
Yeah, that dude
I'm
is
telling you,
scary.
dude.
Can I tell you about the fourth dimension? You're like, no, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
She looks just like an 80s like horror movie kid. Oh
Yeah,
my
man.
god.
It's like cutting up raccoons in the back.
On Netflix,
What?
Encounters.
Encounters? Oh,
I
yeah.
started
I've
it.
seen it all.
Was it good?
I haven't
I'd
seen
watch
it, but
them
I've
all.
heard of it.
Pull that trailer up, and that isn't very.
The Encounters trailer? Okay, we'll pull it up real quick.
Scott has told
But
me.
as I'm pulling up, can you tell us the Japanese airline Alaska story?
Yeah, this was like back in, it was the 80s, right?
It is
Yeah.
84.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think.
He put that episode together. I'll let him.
Yeah, and it's
describe
basically this Japanese pilot is flying, and wasn't he a freight?
Yeah, he's freight.
Yeah, so nobody else is really in the plane but his co-pilot, and he sees something. He starts reporting it. There's this long interaction with the people in Anchorage, their air traffic controllers, and they see it on the radar. even tried to take a picture of it, but he had just got this brand new fancy camera that he couldn't work.
Classic. Yeah.
iPhone 15. Fuck, where's the record on
Flash
this
inside
fucking
the
thing,
windshield.
dude?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, and he reported it to his superiors. What makes that one more believable is the fact that people working the radar saw something too. So there was something there.
Yeah.
Whether it was an alien or not,
Yeah.
he saw something. Pilots generally don't come up with crazy stories, most
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
especially of a big plane like that.
Yeah.
So I felt like that one was kind of credible,
Yeah.
regardless of what it was.
And
Could've
when
been-
you look up like the world's most credible stories, that's like in the top 20.
Right.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
Anchorage one. And I think that pilot like, got fired after that.
Yeah.
That's probably why they don't come forward.
That's exactly
I don't
you
know
know
about Jimmy.
that's what the big thing is now, is with everybody coming forward. This is the first time people have been able to do it without being
Backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Let's watch this Encounters trailer. This is coming out on Netflix now, Brandon?
I think it's already
Oh, it's out now?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing at night.
It's been pretty popular too.
The first time I saw something in the sky, I really hesitated to say anything to anybody.
This is where it landed.
Half of it doing lights. It was like
I was at one with whatever it was.
They looked like identical twins.
It had a very big head.
Cigar shape.
what it was. We don't know.
This was not a one-off event. These things happen all the time. They happen all the time.
Since the 1940s, we've been told by authorities and scientists that this is ridiculous.
There were over 60 kids that saw what I saw.
It had big eyes.
I think whatever people saw was intelligently controlled, and it was not manufactured by the United States or any other nation for that matter.
When I've started looking into these stories, we can get files from 30, 40 years ago that we've never been able to see.
They were tortured by the fact that no one would listen to them.
You know, you're trying to live a normal life, you're trying to move on, but it just opens up doors again.
My relationship suffered. I suffered. I'm still on my quest. I will find out what happened.
We have to keep relearning that lesson that human beings are not the center of the universe.
Most people would say the question is like, are we alone? I think the question is, who are we?
That looks rad.
Yeah.
I did watch it.
Well, it's just, you talked about earlier, people all over the world seeing the same shit, and they don't know.
The kid one.
Exactly. Yeah.
The one where they do the kids in
South Africa, is it? Or
England or maybe it is South Africa. I mean, that one is so compelling, and like so many kids, and they interviewed those kids like.
That was the school, right?
It was at the school. And those are the ones where it's not they saw shit, but they actually saw like the being, you know, with the big eyes, and then they re-interview them when they're grown up, and like, I don't know, man. These motherfuckers is really good liars, or they're
that's what I
saw
was saying
what
earlier.
they saw. You know, like when you see them and you see the kid's reaction.
Yeah.
They
you know,
experience something.
Yeah, you could tell a kid when he's like lying. You know, he's full of shit. But
Very
that was
easily
like these kids were literally like terrified.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Planet Surpo?
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, this is kind of a crazy story. We did it on one of our episodes or a video a while back, but
Planet what?
Surpo.
SERPO?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, there was an agreement after the Roswell crash. We supposedly caught one of the aliens there alive, kept him alive. He was able to teach us how to he could communicate with his people back on Planet Surpo. So the U.S. government and their people went through this agreement to where there'd be kind of an exchange of soldiers. So we sent a group of, I don't remember how many soldiers it was.
Like 12 or something.
Yeah, I think it was 12.
Yeah, it was around there.
To Planet Surpo, and they sent a couple aliens to the United States. And they lived, the ones on Planet Surpo lived there for like more than 10 years.
Whoa.
See, it gets
Yeah,
pretty
it's
weird
crazy.
Where is this from?
This is supposedly
Weekly World News. No,
Is this on the internet?
It is on the internet, so don't trust me. But it's a great story. There's actually books about it.
Yeah, it's
Planet Surpro.
really
Yeah, I have the book if you want to borrow it.
I do.
That sounds awesome.
It is a crazy story, but they go there. The atmosphere is a little different. Everybody.
Oh, this is the story of our soldiers that went to Planet
because
Surpro.
they kept track of it. They came back
And it's
reported.
nonfiction.
It's supposed to be nonfiction.
All right.
That's what it's sold as.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's true or not, it's a fun story. to read about.
No, it sounds great.
But like a couple of their soldiers died when they were there. I think one of the aliens died here, but they went there, lived for a long time, learned a little bit about what was going on, the process of dying, how they communicated with each other, the fact that they didn't use like a capitalist society, not even a communist type society, but everything kind of more like a Star Trek society in a way where kind of everything was just the way it was supposed to be for the good of everybody.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating story. I don't know if it's true, but it was a fun story.
Sounds fun.
You even learn how they go to the bathroom, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I needed this.
I don't remember that. Can you explain it?
I honestly don't remember it either. I think I blocked it out.
It was really weird. It was like the soldiers like watched the couples have sex of the alien species. I guess we were the alien species there, but
I mean, I guess you would. Right?
Yeah, because they sent soldiers, scientists, and different specialties to go there, and it spent many years on this planet supposedly, and came back, and then didn't have to work the rest of their lives.
It sounds great.
You know what I saw today on the way to the studio tonight?
UFO?
No. I saw a bull moose mounting a cow moose.
Oh, you did?
Literally right in front of the church on Wisconsin. Dude, I did like a double take, and I wanted to come around again and like get video because you never see that.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Dude, I did like a triple take. I was like, oh shit, he like got on it. He got on her and did it. And I was already like past, but I was never seen that on hollow ground, dude.
I know the Lord is watching.
Yeah. You ever seen it? And
no. I mean,
it's pretty late. I thought that happened like in the rut.
The teasing.
It's like November 4th.
Oh yeah, you think it'd be over
right now.
by now?
No, he was still active,
warm.
dude.
Yeah.
Young guy, little.
Oh yeah,
that explains everything.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
He's like, I didn't get it all out.
He's got massive blue balls.
Yeah. But it was crazy,
90s.
like, and this person was like walking, like literally about to come up on them, and I was like, "Oh man, they're about to get a scene." This person walking on the street.
Wow.
What are we going into next?
I want to switch it up to something that I was utterly afraid of, refused to do, as a kid or teenager, but was big. Back in our days.
Play with the Ouija board?
Yes.
Yeah, I would refuse to do that too.
Yeah.
To this
I
day,
still
I
do.
won't
Yeah,
mess
I
with
still
it.
do. He's tried.
I always ask him if I can bring one to the studio and we can just test it out. He won't let me.
No. I tell him to play with it by himself and report back. It's not that hard, you know? I mean, like, you want to play with it? Go play with it.
Every time I've used that thing does not move unless we move it.
Well,
you have played with it?
Yeah, when I was younger, I have.
Oh, okay.
But
so you have like an old, real one?
No, it was just one that, like a Park
They sold
Brothers
it.
or whatever.
Yeah, at Woolworths.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't heard that name in a while, but yeah. So you were always afraid to use a Ouija board?
Oh, 100%.
Was religious though, more
probably. Yeah.
Me too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was an altar boy before, but so I had some of that religious stuff too. But you know, when you're young and depending on who you're hanging out with, they brought it out. I felt like we were moving it, and I still feel like that's the case. But people swear that evil stuff comes out of that.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know how evil.
For obvious reasons, though. I mean, like, again,
because it's made by a toy company.
I mean, you say that. Look, I have a lot of weird, crazy experiences over my life, right? A handful of them are completely unexplainable, and this one is 100% unexplainable. At least I've tried getting you to be like, okay, what happened? Like, explain this timeline. But okay, in Vegas, I met a girl at a karaoke bar, right?
Red flag number one.
Classic. And I got her number somehow. Me, the introvert, weird man, sat downstairs, talked to some girl, and she was like, what a charming young man. And I was like, well, shit, give me that Instagram, you know? And so she comes over to my apartment 2 days later. And we watch TV. We hang out for a little bit. I mean, read scripture and whatnot. And then she heads home. That night, I wake up to see a weird shadow, like maybe 4 feet high at the end of my hallway, like just staring at me. And I was like, oh shit. And so I reached over, I had these tall kind of like lamps, and I like got the lamp turned on, and when I looked back, it was gone. I was like, oh, that's weird.
That's first off, that's God judging you because you sinned.
He's like, how dare you? Wow.
God could be 4 feet tall.
Yeah, we honestly have no idea, right?
Yeah. German chocolate.
Yeah. And then the next night she comes over, or no, she doesn't come over. The next night, same thing happens. I wake up in the middle of the night. It's like 3 a.m. and there's the same thing, but it's standing in my doorway. And as soon as I recognize it, it jumps over, and I had like some photography lighting or something like that in the room. So it jumps and like hides behind these lamps. And I turn on the light and I look, there's nothing there again. I'm like, okay, that's strange. And then the very next night, I woke up to the sound of one of my lamps crashing down to the floor. And I had a cat at the time. Just assumed she did it, and so I yelled at her, and then I looked over, and she was laying on my bed, freaked out next to me, looking at the lamp that just like got thrown over, right?
Oh.
And so then night 4, she comes back over, and we're like sitting there nonchalantly watching a movie, and she just like looks up at me, and she's like, did I tell you that I get followed around by a 6-year-old demon boy named Zach? And I was like,
whoa.
I'm like, no, actually you did not, but can you go into more detail about that?
So you didn't tell her like you'd been seeing, because you didn't want to be like, oh,
yeah, I was like, oh, by the way,
guy. Yeah. Take your clothes off, but there's this guy watching us.
Turns out she was even weirder, right? Now, she said that her and her friends played with a Ouija board like a few years prior to that, and that ever since she's been followed around by this thing, and she was mad that I got to see it because she's never seen it, but all of her friends that have been around her in that time have. Like one of her friends said that she got freaked out because this thing was like outside of her window on the second like story of a home. So it's just like this little shadow person looking in the window on the second story. And so she was like losing her mind, like, that's really messed up. Why can't I see it? I'm like, yo, this has been fun and everything, but I really don't want to do this anymore. And like for the next month, it literally felt like I was being watched constantly. And to the point, like I even had a dream that it was like a Saturday, and it was a Saturday, and I was on my couch watching TV, and I look over at my bedroom door, and there's this like a taller version of that thing standing in the doorway, and it kind of like inches closer to me, and I'm just sitting on the couch like, what the fuck? And it like lunges at me and starts choking me out, and I wake up and I can't breathe for like 10 seconds. Like it literally felt like someone had its hand around my neck.
Oh
for
my
like,
God.
So it literally took like a month to feel okay in that apartment again. It was fucking wild.
Have you had her back on the podcast?
Oh, she's never been on the podcast. No,
this was before.
This was
no,
like,
I mean, that would be a great story because then you get to catch up.
Yeah, that would be. It didn't end too well between us. Like, we talked for like 2 days after that, and yeah, it was just a strange.
She was
what
like,
if I called her and said,
scared?
I heard about you, and we just kind of surprise her with you being on the episode?
She probably went. I do not look nearly as good as I did when I lived in Vegas. So it'd be a
well,
great
she
disguise.
could be
you know?
plumpier now too. You know,
that's true. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. Hey, silver lining, right? There you go. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I've seen girls change a lot.
But that'd be interesting. Like if, like, you know, how many years ago was that? 6 or 7 or?
She's close to maybe 8.
Yeah,
9
it's like how many more people have met this demon boy named Zach?
Sounds like
that'd
a
be pretty
series.
cool.
Yeah.
I think it
a
was
series.
setup.
Yeah, you
The
got to
demon boy.
interview all of her ex-boyfriends after that.
I think it's a setup. She was trying to get him in a cult.
Ooh,
And he had to save her from the demon boy. And then if he did, the cult would accept him.
Yep.
Sacrifice me.
All right, there's the skeptic.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's natural in me.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. But so like, there's like a ton of different things that have happened like that where I'm just like, okay, you don't believe any of this shit. What was that? Explain to me the exact timeline of this like set of events and tell me that it's totally normal or my brain making it up or any of that shit.
Mushrooms.
Like, I was once again. I don't think I started smoking weed till I was like 22, 23.
I can't use any of that hallucinogenic stuff on him because he's like, I didn't do that.
Yeah. I was a church.
I'm like,
boy
maybe you
Christian.
should have.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm too worried because of all the church shit, right? Like I'm worried to take like any kind of hallucinogenics or something like that, just because people would be like I know my mind, and people are like, you got to be in a great state of mind. I'm like, well, that never happens. So,
yeah, you totally got it.
I'm like, I can't be the guy that's
he
like,
stresses a lot. So
you need to just go out hiking.
Yeah, that stresses me out as well. Because Bigfoot went on. You're like, I'm not ready for this.
He's just gonna come out and give you a high five. He's like, blow it up, dude.
Yeah.
So
Just healing.
have you guys seen anything weird out in your time out in the middle of nowhere? Do you ever just feel uncomfortable?
I mean, you always feel uncomfortable. I mean, you're out. This year I was skinning a moose by myself in the dark, for about 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, you do. I feel energy and
nothing unexplainable.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe something's watching you. It's a wolf. It's a bear.
But you probably feel
it's
like
a squirrel.
When I was young and when I would go hunting with my dad, I'd feel like things were watching me a lot.
Yeah.
Because there are things watching you.
Yeah. And the worst thing I did was like read like Alaska bear attack tales.
Oh no!
Like before we'd go do shit. Yeah. Like that's not.
We weren't allowed to read those.
Sounds fun.
Bears scare me much more than a Sasquatch would.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But there's great stories about Sasquatch, but I hear the ones in Alaska are a lot more violent than other places.
Sounds about right.
The craziest thing that I had happen was what was it, like 5 years ago at Moose Camp, we saw like a whole string of lights come over, and they weren't satellites that we knew of. And then like a year later, we found out it was Starlink.
Starlink, right?
Wow.
I got
but
same video.
it was nuts, dude. Because
that would be
like
cool
I came back, I searched, I couldn't figure out what this was. People are like, I saw these lights too.
It does look weird though. So understandably, you're looking at that like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. But it was Starlink.
Another weird thing we did when we were little was I don't know if it was because religion or not. Is we would sit in different rooms, like me and my cousins, like 3 of us or 2 of us, and we would like try to like communicate with each other.
Did it work?
We thought it did.
I think
we thought it did back then. Like we would be thinking of like, we'd even get specific. Like I'm gonna think of a number or a color or something or a story, and then you tell me if you feel it. And I remember just like trying so hard, and then like my cousin Christina was like trying so hard, and we were just like,
she had a mind trick.
Yeah.
Which I think the CIA has done experiments with that for a long time, and some of them you can actually see some of their documents. Some of those experiments worked.
Yeah.
With the whole remote viewing program. Worked, and you can look at the CIA documents and see that they felt like it worked too. And then they just canceled it and it was gone. Did they stop using it?
Hell no, they didn't. No.
Why would you stop using something that would work?
Mm-hmm.
I think it still does work because like I'll be like, I only had 1, honey, and she's like, you had at least 4. She's like, how do you know this?
That's so funny.
Witches.
Hell yeah.
Witch hunts. Witchcraft.
It's interesting you brought that up.
Shamans. Let's get into that.
What are things I don't want to run into? Yeah. I 100% believe in witchcraft. And I know everyone's like, well, that's 100% your religion or whatever. But again, too many stories. There's entire subreddits of self-proclaimed witches that talk about these spells they cast and what they're doing. Like, it's crazy. Even just looking at some of the shit and the results they say they had, like, you got to be living in some ultra weird fantasy land to have an entire, like, region of these folks that are believing this without any kind of actual results. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess technically religion's out there, so sure.
Well, it's like, to me, you nailed it. Like, it's if you have this far on let's say just on the left side is religion, and it's like, or the north side is religion, and it's all these things and the Holy Ghost, and people are getting these, feelings. There's got to be an opposite to that, right? And that's what that is.
Yeah, I've heard some like wild stories about, and Christian isn't someone that really thinks like the Church of Satan or whatever actually worships Satan, but I've heard a lot of strange, like with witches and all that shit, like the weird satanic rituals and shit like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that actually ends up working according to them. That is like money spells or like random stuff where you're like, I did this and then this happened, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. So is it you creating that with your mind, or is it like a thought experiment where you're like, I really want this, and so I made it happen? Like, what is that?
The Secret.
The Secret, yeah. Is it like that, or is it that these rituals you're doing, you're actually like worshiping something evil that is giving you what you want for now, but you're going to pay for it in a different way? Like there's just no, I mean, again, no way for me to tell.
Yeah.
I don't know, both sides make sense to me, but I'm also strange. So who's to say, I'm like,
Well, I would think that now in this day and age, like a witch could thrive.
Hell yeah.
Like be accepted. Not like when there was like the witch burnings and the killings of whatever year that was.
Yeah.
Like if some hot chick was like, I'm a witch and like I do this, like she would be huge.
She'd get her own bathroom, dude.
There's a whole thing on TikTok has a whole thing called Witch Talk.
Okay.
And that's basically a community of people that
there is
that are into what they call witchcraft.
Yeah.
Or different pagan things, and that's what they're all about. I don't believe the whole witch hunt thing still bothers me.
Okay,
you don't believe that happened?
I believe it happened. I believe
they were
that
innocent people.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I believe. I believe they were innocent people, maybe a little bit rebellious especially for the females.
Right. Yeah.
Or maybe, just somebody that pissed off another female.
Oh, totally.
The husband paid this one too much attention, so all of a sudden she's a witch. I think it's pretty hard for me to believe that anybody is out there like, come on, Satan, I'm doing this spell, go curse this person.
Yeah. Well, just as a lot of people believe in miracles and things like that, what's your thought on the opposite of that? The casting of spells and things like that. Isn't that almost the same thing?
I always feel like we cast spells with everything we do. Even if we're singing a song that we listen to, that's speaking as a sort of a spell in my view. It's how we produce things in the world just by, what we say to people, what we say to ourselves produces something down the line.
Yeah.
So that's similar in my view.
I mean, you can do that with plants. You can talk shit to a plant, and it just does not grow well. Yeah, you're like,
or it doesn't.
So it's like that. That alone kind of proves something about that.
That's still a disputed scientific thing.
Well, what about this idea that, like, I do this personally? Like, I'll get a crazy bad thought in my head of like something happening to somebody, and I'm like, do not focus on that or think about that because it's gonna happen if you focus on that.
Totally.
Right. It's same as you focus on something great.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I really want this to happen, and then it does.
Somebody told me I think it was maybe back when I first learned to drive, and maybe a driving instructor. He told me, if you start losing control of the car, don't focus on that telephone pole. Focus on where you're going or where you want to go, because you're going to go the direction you're focused on.
Right.
And so maybe that's a type of magic, but it's not like the witchcraft type magic that we've made.
It's
demonic. You know what I mean? It's just a natural way humans are. When you think something, when you speak to yourself a certain way, when you speak to others, that's the direction you're going to go in no matter what it is.
What's like a persuasive like witch story?
We did one recently where this apparently this husband and wife ran into a cousin or something like that, and they're like, oh, come have dinner with us, right? And so they're eating at this restaurant, and the cousin is with his girlfriend, who is a self-proclaimed witch. And I guess the dad kind of like didn't care about it or whatever, but like the mom was like kind of turned off by her, like, what the hell, who are you with right now? Like, who are you eating dinner with? And so, but the dad didn't believe her and was like, yeah, sure, you're a witch, gotcha. And later that night, they get home. He wakes up to see like glowing eyes all over his room staring at him. And so he's freaked out. He's like, yeah, forget my wife. I'm out of this room right now. And walks right into the kitchen or wherever. And he sees what he described as a 9-foot tall, like, man with a warthog head walk across the room and just plain as day, not like some kind of, apparition or anything, like a full body thing walk across his room, and it just freaked him the fuck out. And it was because of what that witch did, apparently. I can't think of any other. I mean, you're having dinner with a witch, you piss her off.
Yeah, she's like, I'll make you believe.
Yeah, and then that night you randomly hallucinate glowing eyes in your room and a random like tall ass warthog man walking through your living room. It's way too hard for me to grasp. Like, my brain believes more in a 9-foot warthog man than the ability for your brain to create that randomly in that connection to what had just happened that night.
Do you ever feel like he might have been an unreliable narrator? Like maybe he did cause a problem that deserved exactly what he got.
Yeah,
maybe he's the bad guy and not the person casting the spell.
I'm not saying she was a bad person. I'm just saying it happened through witchcraft. Like, and we did an episode about like life after death and shit. And one of the stories stuck with me to this day. I still think about it. I'm like, man, maybe like there was this person kind of like watching the earth from above, right? And she was talking about the people were praying for people on the earth, right? Like, oh, I'm just praying for my mom, or I'm praying for this and that. And with every prayer, there was like a beacon of light that would shoot up wherever they're at on the earth, and it would land on the person that they're praying for. And so that, like, you can take that a religious angle if you want and be like, oh, that's God, and that's like the power of prayer. But it could also be the exact opposite with if you're negative. Like and I'm someone that is very critical of myself. Like, I have negative thoughts very often. I have like imposter syndrome. I just for days, like legitimately, I have thoughts that are pretty dark, and I see the like fruit of that. You know, like there's a lack of like success that comes if you're just like constantly negative, and you're like, oh, well, maybe this is never going to work, or maybe we're doing the wrong stuff. You know, so I've seen that in my own personal life that I'm like, yeah, I can believe that words have power. That's something my mom always told me. She's like, you know, your words are very powerful. You don't say that about yourself. Don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, you know, all the different experiments that have been done with like the plants and shit, like everything points to us having power in what we say. And so using that properly, you can use it for good, or you can use it to send a 9-foot warthog man to someone that upsets you at dinner, you know, which is extreme and maybe not evil, but
with practice,
pretty evil.
You forgot, that's not even the best witchcraft story we've talked about.
What is the best one?
There was one, I think might have taken place in Washington, where this guy went on a date. It might have been a blind date with some of his friends and their friend. And she said she was a witch. And this guy did something to he like made fun of the girl.
Yeah, made a fake potion.
Yeah, so she cursed him. Next day he's dead.
Ooh.
Yeah, just died in his apartment. Nobody knew what happened. There was no signs of anything. He just killed over dead, and all of his friends thought it was the witch.
It's way worse than the warthog, dude.
I honestly, I don't even remember that story. When was that from?
I don't remember. I know we talked about it.
That's creepy.
In one of our, because we argue about witches all the time. Because
have you guys ever met someone that proclaims to be a witch?
We have interviewed somebody.
Oh, really?
That I don't know if she'd call herself a witch, but she is a practitioner.
Up here in Alaska?
She's back east.
Okay, all right. Has she cursed someone before?
Did it?
No. It was me.
She was super nice.
Yeah, she seemed really sweet.
Really nice. She is into something called, or at least she was, the Lima, which is a religion that Aleister Crowley started. And, you know, everybody's like the beast, Aleister Crowley. But it was a fascinating interview. We did it when we talked about a guy named Jack Parsons, who was really big in our, like, getting us to space. But he was basically kind of an occultist. He practiced this religion. He did spells. He had what he called his Scarlet Woman, or Babylon, is what she was called, which is supposed to be like a Mesopotamian demon. And he ended up marrying her. Eventually blew himself up in one of his rocket experiments.
Oh, wow.
When he was in his 30s, but he worked at JPL. He's famous in the rocket industry. Helped start, I don't remember the name of the company he started, but one of the big rocket companies from back in the day.
Yeah.
Wow. I have I had a buddy that was like helping me train when I was in Vegas, like just like losing weight, stuff like that. And so we got pretty close. He was like a friend of my ex's or something like that. And
Scott's exes. Don't trust him.
There's so many. Like, it's Vegas, first of all. They're crazy, each and every one of them. But like he was telling me that he and his ex-wife lived in a house, right? And it was like his ex-wife's family's old house. And he said there was so much crazy shit that went on there that he eventually talked to his wife about. I was like, what the hell's going on in our house? And she told him that her mother used to practice like Santeria or something like that in the closet of this bedroom. And that was the same bedroom that his daughter was sleeping in or something like that. And like all this crazy shit's going on. But he described things that, I think one of them was he was sitting on the bed playing PlayStation or something like that, and his wife was in the bathroom, and he's just sitting there, and this thing, he sees like handprints decompress into the mattress around him. Yeah,
that'd be creepy.
Exactly, right? And so he's like, okay, this is creepy as hell. His wife's brushing his teeth. He freaks out a little bit. And then he's like, yo, what the fuck was that? You know, and it's like, I think that's when she opened up and told him, was like, oh, my mom used to do like some witchcraft or Santeria. But
there's like, we're moving.
Yeah, no, he actually got to the point where it was so wild that he called like one of those like paranormal investigator teams. Like it was actually like a TV show. I don't think they ended up recording or something like that, but they came out and they said it was too weird for them. And they're like, no, this is kind of weird in here. Like, we're not going to do this. Like, it was, I think one of the other things, I think he said at some point he saw, again, like shadow person standing in the doorway. He said there's one time his PS5 controller flew from like his bed into the wall, like literally stuck in the wall. I'm like, dude, man, I thought I saw weird shit. If that happened, like, I would literally just shit myself. And I'd be like, well, I guess I'm dying right now. Like, where do you go from this? You're invisible. You can do anything, yeah?
I actually do have a crazy story.
Oh, you do?
Really?
Yeah, that's dude. Good. I can't believe I didn't remember this.
This happens to me all the time.
We should have had
Seriously,
John Lau on the episode. So, because it's my dad's story. But my dad is like, he's engineer, real pragmatic, has a solution for everything. You know, he's religious, but he doesn't, he doesn't believe in like, you know, magic or something. Yeah. And like very detailed fact kind of guy. So when I was 11, my grandpa he was dying of emphysema, and he lived in our house, so he wouldn't have to go to hospice. So he moved up from Wyoming. He lived with us for like a year, and he was living in the basement, and he was like toast going into December. It was really sad, and like where he's not going to make it to Christmas, but like he like gained the strength to like get through Christmas. And my dad had bought my little brother and him like these little remote control cars to play with, because that's about all he could do with us for Christmas. And the day after Christmas, he passes away. And so we go down. My brother and sister were too little. I was like 11. So I went down and said goodbye and stuff and went to sleep. And then anyway, so then he passed away that night at, you know, say 2 a.m. or something. And then, you know, people come and grab bodies and stuff. But I guess my dad had this conversation with him before he died and was like, give me a signal when you make it to heaven, you know? Yeah. And they're very, you know, both very religious. So, anyway, so my dad's like kind of like done with this. Like my mom's now in bed, everyone's in bed. It's probably 3 a.m. He's just kind of cleaning up, and his dad just died, you know?
Right.
So kind of like some time to himself before. Anyway, so he goes to the middle floor, and he's one of the remote controls cars starts driving in circles. Wow. He walks in the room, it's sitting in the room. He comes closer to it, it starts driving in circles. Wow. In front of him. He can't find a remote anywhere. He checks on, it keeps going. He goes and checks everyone, looks all over the house for the remote control, couldn't find this remote control. And anyway, so it did that for like 5 minutes, and then he was like, well, this is a signal, I guess. Yeah. But that's, I guess, the only supernatural story I have.
That's a pretty good one, though.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. And he swears by it, you know, and he's not a bullshitter, you know, so.
Yeah.
We may have to bring that one up again next time we do.
Yeah, we should get John Lau on your podcast then to tell it.
Yeah. Would he do it?
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Got a skeptic
for ghosts.
Yeah, we got a skeptic on there. They don't believe in all that stuff. Just
yeah, we sure do. It's real entertainment value right there, you know. So anyway, ghosts, and he's like, yeah, I mean maybe, but also your brain does stuff.
I was just thrilled that, you know, there's controllers in the 4th dimension. So
hell yeah,
and that's hell yeah. They probably don't break.
That's why I keep losing in video games. You know, someone else is like, "Fuck Jack," and
yeah, that's some trickster shit.
No,
right
I realized losing in video games is when you start getting older, and the 12-year-olds are.
I haven't played a video game in 10 years. I was just.
You don't want to, man. Yeah, 12-year-olds will kill you.
I was getting smashed in Halo when I was 18.
Yeah,
so.
It's time for me to hang it up. I think.
Yeah.
What about exorcisms? Have you guys done anything with that?
Those are fun. I've actually been meaning to reach out. There's a parish in Wasilla that I remember one of these weird Facebook groups. Someone was looking for someone to bless a home or something, and apparently there's an exorcist that's like a block away from my house. And I'm like, oh, how do I? But I'm like, you know me, I'm like taking just fat rips on the couch. Like, how am I going to approach this priest about coming on the Ghost podcast? And I'm like, damn, so it's literally it's been in a draft for like 2 weeks. And there's not a damn word on it. It's like I type the email address. I'm like, all right, time to get wordy. And it's like,
that's your sponsor right there, bud.
Yeah, man. The Catholic Church.
It's like the Alaska Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
Get 5% of them tithes.
The Lord won't mind. Don't worry, it's fine. But yeah, like literally, I was like, it would be so great to get an exorcist on the show to talk about shit that they've gone through. There's apparently 4 stages of possession. I had no idea, but yeah, it's just, I was like, damn, I really want to hear someone that knows what they're talking about talk about this without being offended if Christian's sitting across from him and a cloud just like slowly hovers through his face and goes across. And you're like,
I mean, I love Exorcist movie. I don't believe that exorcism's an actual thing. I struggle with that one.
There's some wild stories out there for it. I don't know.
I do believe that if you are religious and you believe that an exorcism can help you, you can be helped.
Yeah, sure.
But I also believe if there was such a thing as demons, they're not just Christian demons.
Yeah, they're everyone's demons.
Yeah. So you can't just go by what the Bible says to deal with something like that. If there was such a thing as demons,
but a lot of like religious texts and shit say the exact same thing about handling these types of creatures and stuff. So I'm like, I don't know. But again, it's this situation if you're like different cultures, different places, encountering the same entity.
Yeah.
They're going to have different ways of wording how to get rid of it or anything like that. But a lot of it is pretty crazily similar to each other. And when you're like, oh, so maybe it's not a Christian demon, but this is how you handle demons, you know? But who's to fucking say?
The Pope's Exorcist was a good movie. And we did an episode on that. And I kind of believe that guy might have exorcised something.
He was an OG.
Yeah. Gabriel Amorth, The Pope's Exorcist.
Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
It's a good movie. Russell Crowe plays him.
Oh, okay. No, I have seen the
preview.
Not the preview, but like the clip as I'm scrolling.
And they stay pretty close to the story as far as making it dramatic. I mean, it's not exactly alike, but they're close enough to where you can get the grasp of it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Is there any Alaska based like folklore or something that maybe we passed over that we didn't talk about?
Which one do you want to talk about first?
You could do the Otter Man, but only because I don't want to pronounce it, because last time we did, we got roasted alive.
I'm going to say it wrong. It's Acoustica, which is an Alaska native cryptid, but it's also goes across Canada and I believe into like Iceland and Greenland. So basically, it's when you're looking at it or hearing about it, it sounds a lot like Bigfoot. But you don't want to make the
don't say that ever.
Yeah, don't say that.
Don't ever say that.
This is something that takes the form of an otter most of the time, but can also change into being like man-sized, but still an otter. And it'll be out in the middle of nowhere, calling out your name. It might mimic somebody you know. You might, like if you're a kid, it's going to be your mother's voice calling out to you. Yeah. And what happens is when you go with it, it'll either eat you, kill you and eat you, or it'll make you one of them.
Whoa.
And this story's been around probably since before Europeans came to America. Another thing that you'll sometimes see, they're not always evil. Like there's been times where they've taken people that are about to freeze to death, turn them into this otter, this Kushtaka, just to protect them from the cold. And then they can let them, when it warms up, they can change them back and then get them back to their community.
Wow.
Kushtaka.
I like it, dude. They should talk more about this.
Yeah. It's a fun, there's a bunch of stories. I mean, we got that. We got basically a werewolf.
Ooh, I want to know more about the werewolf.
Yeah.
That's the Adlet, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and that's another story that goes across, I think that one goes into Siberia, across to Alaska,
across
Canada.
Atlantic.
Yeah, so it goes through Canada into Greenland, and but basically, the story goes that this was a lady had been having a relationship with the dog.
Okay,
This
great
is the way
start,
the story
great
goes.
start.
It was like a dog man type of thing. They had kids. So she's her father was not happy about this. So her father's pretending to be okay with the husband, and basically takes him out and kills him. So the mother or his daughter basically made it to where these things became wild. Her children were wild, werewolves in a way.
Dog people.
Yeah. And they were a little wild. I don't think there were like really scary stories about them. But it's this old myth that supposedly is true, and people have had sightings. You also got the Alaskan little people that they talk about. Yeah. The Alaskan Bushman, which is basically going to be Bigfoot, but mean.
What are the little people?
That one is kind of like a fairy, kind of, or gnome in Alaska.
Similar, yeah.
Similar to what you'd find in like Ireland or Scotland or something like that, or in parts of Europe, doing the same kind of mischievous things. I think some there in supposedly Wasilla in that area, Palmer area, and some places.
Probably Sutton.
That wouldn't surprise
me. A lot of things going down in Sutton.
Is there like a leprechaun or something at the end of the rainbow in North America or in Alaska?
Probably. All right.
But are their version or
that one I'm not sure about.
Yeah. That's kind of similar to like little people, right?
Yeah, I mean it does feel similar.
Yeah.
And then there's one. What's the one that's? Is it the Alaskan mermaid that you?
I was just gonna say that there's like a kraken or something. We had from Coffee and Quack, Alice. She is Alaska Native, and she brought up this person from the sea. She didn't say mermaid. I don't know if it was like a kraken, almost like octopusy kind of lady that they have a big folklore about. Is that what you're talking about?
And the one I'm thinking of, you can actually, if it eats you, you can see the person being digested inside of it.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I can't remember which one that is, but it's like, so not only do you see your friend get killed, you watch him.
Like, oh, there he is.
He's slowly digesting.
Oh, man.
Like Han Solo in that Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, yeah.
Boba Fett.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, there's weird story. Like in Wasilla, there was apparently like a dogman sighting too off Trunk Road. Like apparently on one Halloween or something, someone drove past it thinking it was like a weird Halloween decoration, but he was like, the way it moved, man, that thing was fucking real, and it was like 8 feet tall.
I would have thought Pittman.
Right, yeah. Hey, the possibilities are out there, man. You never know.
Yeah. Is there another maybe personal paranormal or extraterrestrial or extraordinary encounter or story that maybe we passed up on that you want to share?
Well, I got like so many, but I think
there's some Bigfoot stories in Alaska.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one? There's this one we talked about, and this is an old story, like probably like the 50s, 60s, 70s. Guy was up here helping make a road through Alaska, I think it was the main highway, making whenever that was built. And something happened, and he heard some yelling and screaming and thrashing around, and he went off, and there was this Bigfoot stuck underneath a tree in like this swampy water and could not get loose because the way it's like the tree had collapsed on it or something. So supposedly he went out there in this water and he was scared. I think he actually gave it some kind of drugs or something that he had to try to mellow it out, and it did calm down a little bit, but he ended up lifting this big old tree off this Sasquatch that couldn't get out, and it went walking away. Supposedly looked at him like he understood what he just did, and
wow,
yeah.
Bigfoot stories are the best to me. They're the most fun to go over.
Yeah, way too many theories. There's people that are like interdimensional travelers. They hop out of portals. There's like every theory you could possibly think of. Bigfoot is somehow involved.
I think even Stephen King says something like that about Bigfoot because he believes there's a portal in the area somewhere around where he grew up and lived in Maine.
Really?
And so he's actually written about it, and he thought that's where Bigfoot came from.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Why it would show up sometimes.
Did you have any trivia?
My trivia was more about. It's kind of a hard one to do today.
Is it?
But
okay. I just want to play the music for them because I think they'd like it.
Yeah, all right. Well, we can try it. It's going to be kind of. I'm not sure if it was the best trivia to pick.
Trivia, I love trivia. This is going to be interesting.
All right, let's try it. Let's just try it. All right. Okay.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
that is
like it.
I knew you guys would like that.
All right.
As you look for it, scariest movie when you were a kid, an actual scariest movie.
The Brave Little Toaster, obviously.
What?
I know what is the first response, but it's definitely terrifying to a child. And the actual scariest movie was I really like the first Conjuring, I think. Or no, Sinister. I think the first Sinister was super good. That creeped me the hell out for sure.
Okay. Christian?
It was no, man.
Oh.
Brave Little Toaster as well?
No, that's not. That's Poltergeist 2.
Okay.
The one with the priest with the black hat. That's And I talk about this on the show a lot. It's like yells, "You're all gonna die." I couldn't even have the commercial playing when I was young. Scared me to death. I think the scariest one that I've seen is Smile.
Oh,
that is pretty creepy.
I haven't seen it.
It's more of a recent one.
Okay. For me, scariest movie as a kid was Freddy Krueger.
That would do it.
Obviously, he'd get you when you're sleeping. An actual scariest movie that ever really kind of tripped me out was oh dude, I just lost it. What was it coming about? It was an alien one, and they went Event Horizon.
Oh yeah.
That one is a good one.
Yeah.
Event Horizon. To me, that was like, whoa.
It's pretty trippy. Yeah.
Have you seen In the Mouth of Madness?
No.
Watch that one.
In the Mouth of Madness.
That one's crazy.
Mine's It from when I was a kid.
It.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's a good one.
And the scariest book or movie as an adult is The Road by Cormac McCarthy.
Oh. I haven't seen the movie. I read the book.
Yeah, I've done both. I like emotionally was gone.
Did they have those like weird creatures? Weren't there some weird people that were like underground? Or?
Yeah, those were the good people.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's who he left the daughter with.
Oh, the witch.
Okay, Brandon's here. The witch.
That is like the top.
I'm not on the mic, but I watched that movie. Had my skin crawling the whole time.
I haven't seen it.
Nightmares.
The witch.
It gave him nightmares.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
I still haven't seen it. Yeah.
What about as a kid? What was the one? IT, like my kids say. You know they call it IT now.
Oh my gosh.
Candyman.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was creepy.
That was a good one. I just rewatched that in Halloween.
The Witch is one of the best movies.
The Witch,
I've ever
really?
saw.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not super. It's not scary in the way you would think.
Just like eerie.
It feels real.
Okay.
It feels real.
Got it.
All right. So I kind of think I have a good way to present it. Okay. So you guys are gonna name like a supernatural Alaska thing or person based on what I ask. And Daniel's gonna go first though, because he has the least amount of experience in this. Since you guys are
I just told a lot of stories
and
today.
Skeptic.
A lot of my childhood came out today.
So
I just went through therapy.
Okay, so this ghost bride died in her hotel room. Or fiance, soon to be bride, died in her hotel room wearing her wedding gown. After waiting for months and months for her gold rush husband to return. And she died in the Golden North Hotel in Skagway. What is her name?
Oh,
Elizabeth.
That's a good guess. I know the story. I cannot for the life of me. Elizabeth seems like maybe time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks
Can't
out.
be like, you know.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Some of those new names.
Scary Mary.
That's a Scary Mary.
Yeah.
What was her husband's name?
Oh,
Scary George.
This big story doesn't have.
I thought you were going to say Sitka because I went to, I used to do music and we went to Sitka to do a show and they had to stay in that Alaska hotel, which is like fucking like the #1 haunted place in Alaska.
Castle.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That blacked out. That was the only way to sleep in there.
That was the second.
But I
one,
did
so
wake
you
up
nailed
extra
it.
early and I had to get out of there.
Yeah.
That one is supposed to be really scary.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Sketchy.
That was the second one, so you nailed it. All right, cool.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
What was the scariest haunted hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, I nailed it? Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
The last one is this is gonna be a hard way to let's do where. So where in Alaska is a haunted place where they were gonna build a building for the whole town to live in, but then they started building it and all of the workers started like their tools were flying around. They would hear scratching. They would hear voices. They'd see things. So they decided not to build the living structure for the community there.
Is that the place where everybody lives in the same building or something?
It's not Portlock, right?
That would be Whittier. It's not Whittier.
It's not Portlock?
Mm-mm.
No.
I'm going to go with Seward.
It's Kennecott.
Ooh,
Well, I would have
Kennecott.
never gotten
So
that.
they went.
But I've heard that story.
They were
Yeah.
building a whole building there, and then because of the workers' experiences, they stopped construction and built it somewhere else.
Really?
Whoa.
And it was just like unexplainable shit was just happening?
Yeah, yeah, and
That's pretty
they
wild.
thought it was all the people that had died in the mines over time.
We need to look into this one.
They would hear kids yelling that had died. And
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Alaska has a lot of scary, creepy stories, but I mean, you look at how people used to live up here. Life was really scary back. I mean, can still get scary up here, but back in the day.
Yeah, you been downtown lately?
No, I have not. Because everybody keeps saying it like that.
It sounds like fun. Yeah, send me down.
Go to the ghost tour at midnight. At the bio.
We'll be the ghost tour at midnight, yeah.
Christian Scott, thanks for coming in. And man, I had a blast tonight. I felt like I went through a little therapy there, let some things out of my chest, some stuff I forgot about of my youth. Appreciate you guys coming with, a different topic, definitely for sure, than we've had on the podcast. I think a lot of our audience would love to also be a part of your guys' audience. So thank you for coming in and driving all the way in from where you guys came from.
Thank you for having
all
us.
the ghosts
Seriously.
are.
Yeah.
So appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming in. What you guys are doing is cool. It's unique. You guys have passion for it, which is rad, and it's more cool, exciting stuff going down in Alaska. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for what you're doing and keep doing it, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us. Seriously.
For people looking to find where these guys are at, it is the Freaky Deaky Pod on Instagram. It's Freaky Deaky Pod on YouTube, and I want to say that the website is also the Freaky Deaky.
Yeah, freakydeaky.com.
The freakydeaky.com.
I think at Freaky Deaky Pod on pretty much everything else but TikTok.
Yeah. So if you guys have a story in mind, or if you feel as if you had some sort of encounter or something like that, definitely reach out to these guys to tell them their story so that they can spread it to the rest of the world. And if you're out there looking to sponsor a really cool podcast, man, hit these guys up. It's time for them to get some money for all this time. Great job on the website. Great job on the graphics. That's an awesome logo. Your guys' logo itself is awesome. Really well done. And I personally know all the work that it takes to do what you guys have been doing. So great job. I love it.
Thank you.
Alaska, thank you for listening. And as always,
stay wild.
You'll remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Big Rays, the Alaskan outfitter, committed to outfitting Alaskans across the state since 1947. Whether you're a recreator, parent, guide, or corporate buyer, Big Rays has the gear you need, tailored for Alaska's harsh conditions. Check out their new exclusive line of Auralic waders. Big Rays for all your outdoor gear and rugged work attire. BigRays.com.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives. AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO.
Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include weekly lawn care, custom landscaping, fertilizing, weed control, turf repair, and more. Schedule your free estimate at lawnproak.com.
Alaska's OG cider company, Double Shovel, crafting gluten-free colonial-style ciders, founded as a healthier, non-inflammatory brew option. Drop by their Pop and Tap room in Anchorage off of 58th and Arctic, or visit the second location in Kodiak. Double Shovel, award-winning ciders.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
Alaska Mining and Diving Supply, located in Anchorage, is our go-to for powder sleds and utility rigs. Whether you're in the mountains with the flatbill bros, running trap lines, or hauling freight, they have the selection to get you dialed from peaks to the valleys. Find them on Commercial Drive or akmining.com.
Should you not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.